Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth and possibly last game of Protectors of Light, depending on how well you play today. When last we met, your characters had just spotted walking on water one of the technocrats at such a distance that he is away from any of your conventional weapons and preparing and heading straight for your ship. Um, the five drones that you'd seen hovering next to the ship are now moving in closer to him, and he has this psychic energy building up around him. Not far from you, a couple of miles away, you see the shore of what is very likely the island of Kirdan. Um, You can see it's green. You can see it's not a total apocalyptical wasteland yet, as it will likely be when the mother wakes. So your characters have st- you know noticed the situation, and the first person to react is Captain Florentino. That immediately shouts to his men, "All right, men, um, our mission here is to do whatever it takes to get these inquisitors onto the shore so that they can deal with the problem. Our lives here don't matter. They've told me if this if the creatures on this island ever wake up, the entire world will be destroyed. So do whatever it takes. Defeat this enemy or flee from it. Do whatever it takes to get us to that shore." And then he turns to you and he says, "Can we fight this thing?"
Um,
Yes.
yes, we can. It's just very difficult. To say
Okay.
the least.
So as you say this, let me. Okay. As you say this, the technocrat, he concentrates his psychic power on one of the drones, and he's going to use it as a projectile. He shoots it upwards, and it takes a very long arc, but you can see that um, like creates it breaks the sound barrier around where the technocrat is, and then creates this wave on the water of just energy being released, and it comes down crashing in onto the ship. It's going to be at the very front of the ship where none of your characters were,
I
and it's going
I
to
have a
do some
question.
damage. Yes.
Range of 78 feet. Can I block it? Can I
Okay.
attempt to?
Um. Let me think. Sure. Let me roll for my. I forgot to do potential.
I believe blocking for someone else is technically a negative 30.
Yes, you are trying to protect the ship, so you have a -30, but you did open roll.
Alright.
Da-da-da.
223 then.
Okay, and I rolled a 180, which means I have a +20 to my projection, bringing my projection to a total of 190, and you get how much?
223. I'm just
Okay.
like, shoot, no, go away. You're not allowed.
Uh,
Please, leave us alone. I
um,
don't.
Okay, so Roy is able to move his hands and um, cast his strings of magical energy between the ropes of the ship and just slice the drone up, exploding it just before it can reach the deck and cause a hole in the ship. And yeah, the pieces of the drone scatter uh, on on the deck of the ship. And yeah, roll initiative to see how you're going to who's going to act first in this. Very nice situation, I must say. And the four other drones are heading your way.
Like as the same type of projectile, or
No, they are heading away at normal speeds, and the the technocrat is going to start getting other materials out from his personal vortex to use as munitions.
Are we moving in his direction?
Yes, he has been what's it called?
oh,
Yeah. Um, okay, just give 1 second. He had been um, uh, t- 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 um, yeah, he had been at the very front of the ship, walking on the water towards you. So you're heading towards him right now. But yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
that artifact has been so fucking useful. Like,
What?
oh my god, that
He's saying his
artifact
hands have
has
been
been
useful.
so fucking
Oh
useful.
yeah. I'm glad I recommended them to you. Like they do come into play at some very useful times now.
Very useful, yes.
Mhm.
Especially when you just saved a ship potentially from getting a giant gaping hole and going Titanic.
Don't get too ahead of yourself. I'm only getting
Uh,
started.
that's why I said potentially.
Um. Okay, so everybody on the initiative marker, do you see your characters, or do I need to add them again? Because sometimes it just
Mine's there.
you're there. Okay.
I'll, yeah, mine isn't on there.
Okay, yeah, that's what I
Oh,
thought.
what it was before. You
Is
can
Gab
just put Al on there.
okay? Is Gabriella here? On the
Uh,
I'm here. I don't know where.
no, I mean
But
on the turn order.
no, I'm not on
uh,
board.
Okay, that happens a lot. Don't worry about it. And I'm going to add the turn for Al. Okay, and I rolled a 145.
nice. You don't surprise me, which is nice, but
Okay, so I do believe I am the first to act again. Um,
yes, barely.
okay, so
Also, I'm doing that -80 thing, so tanking blows.
okay. Oh, so yeah, you're trying to take the blows. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
B and I talked so that we figured out the strategy for it. And basically, what I'm gonna do is instead of taking the -80 to the dice, I'm just gonna, or never mind.
okay. We'll see how we play it out.
Yeah.
I just want to check one thing. Yeah. Defending some. Yeah. So you need to have the initiative on someone to block an attack. Uh, Basically, you need to have more initiative and then take a second and take one of your actions to move in and protect something, which I give you um, the benefit of the doubt that you could do it, that Roy could do it just last turn, but right now it's going to be a different matter. Okay,
Uh, gotcha.
160.
Damn it.
160 to my potential gives me a, I believe,
Well, if I'm what's called? If I was
plus
able to
20.
do it last turn, my string's already still there, right? Or
Hmm?
no? My string's already still there, or no?
Yes, but he's attacking a different part of the ship.
Ah, see.
Okay.
Oh shit.
So that is enough protection to hit the ship, and this time what he does is that you see him making a giant axe appear, and it vaguely resembles what could be legislator, a very old one and a very, very big one, a lawbringer like one of yours, and he uses his psychic powers to um, to project it and and it's spinning very, very fast. And it looks like he's going to miss the ship, but it has this slow curve and comes back to the side of the ship, and it's going to pierce a hole in it. So that just did. Let's see. I know that I add. Oh, it was only one axe, so I don't add 50% of the damage. So it's 100, and I did yeah, I did 200 damage on the ship, which has 1,000 life points. So you can take. So the ship can take 5 more of these.
Well, 4 more. But yeah.
Yes, 4 more exactly. The life points are on this character's. Okay. So yeah, that's it for my turn. The drones are the drones have reached the ship, and what they seem to be doing is that they are hovering around. They are going below deck and observing, and they seem to be observing things. They seem to be keeping the distance from everyone and trying to observe the entire scene. You can see that they are bound to each other, as they usually are, by threads of psychic telepathy. So,
Are they close enough for my strings though?
yes, they're close enough for any of you to attack if you move in on them, because your characters are able to move fast enough to go to reach them. The next step on the initiative is Gabriella. You are on the deck of the ship. You can hear screams coming from below you from where the projectile hits, and there are drones around you. What do you do?
Are there drones here on top of the deck, or are they down below?
One of them went down below.
Okay, so there's other ones up top here.
Yes.
I'm going to shoot one of them with my mini crossbow.
Okay, go ahead and roll. Ooh,
Hello.
nice. All right. So because I am not a mass for the drone this time, I get to roll my dodge instead of just having a.
Oh.
Yep.
Not doing mass this time?
Yeah, there's only 5. There's only like 4 of them left.
Okay.
Okay, so you do 150. That's 80. That's you do 90% of your weapon's damage.
I do 90%. Okay,
Yes,
so it's
yes.
40.
Okay.
You're
all right. So this yeah. So that's going to be okay. You go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll 1d100 plus 40 because you've just done a critical. Okay, you pass it by 20. Alright. You've damaged one of its wings and falls to the ground. It's unable. It has minus 20 to all of its actions, and it's unable to fly as well. It can hop and move at a very slow pace, but it's not fully destroyed yet.
And how many of them are up top deck here around?
There's only 3 of them with the one that you've damaged, and there's one down below.
I'm going to dive for some cover.
Okay. All right. So do you go downstairs? Or
No, I'm going to stay up top. I just want to use something for some sort of protection or cover.
All right.
Where I can still shoot out from, so like getting partial cover from something.
You can take cover behind the mast if you want. I believe
Sure,
that's what
that'll
it's
work.
called.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Perfect. Luca, it's going to be your turn, and the Captain Florentino yells, he's matching our speed now. How are we going to hit him back?
How far away is he?
Um, he is very far away. Let me just check one thing so that I can tell you. He's at the distance um, that he can use his psychic projection with um, when he rolls. I believe it's 60 or more, which means he only has like a 40% chance of hitting the boat, but in exchange he's able to stay at a very nice distance.
That must be like the 1,500 feet area.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
On either way, his orders will be.
what's 180 is difficult, right?
180 is absurd.
Okay. Yeah, he's at 1,000 feet.
I will say,
Mm-hmm.
get as many as you can on the cannons. All the rest who brought crossbows take care of the drones.
Okay. He nods. He says, "Are we going to? Do I wait for your command to turn the falling star around so we can shoot him?"
Uh, to take the falling star around. What is it?
Basically,
Flip it so that instead of the front facing him, where there are no cannons, flip it so that the side is facing him, so that
Oh,
cannons are
yes,
facing
yes.
okay. He also says. He also tells you. Like, okay, so he shouts to his men. Um, the Empress promised us fights like there have never been in history, and we're getting some already before the wars even started. Take heart, man. And then he turns to you and he says, "We've never shot at just us. We usually shoot at ships. It's going to be hard for us to aim at such a small target. Perhaps one of you has." Perhaps one of you will have more experience aiming the cannons.
Actually, I don't have cannon experience, but I do think and have experience with projectiles. So who knows?
So the way that this works is that basically whenever you're using a weapon you don't know how to use, you have a fixed penalty of, I believe, -50, but you still use your attack, uh, your
Well,
attack skill, which means if you were, yes, go ahead.
I was going to say that the not knowing how to use a weapon depends on if you know how to use a weapon that is similar. Both
Yes.
cannons and crossbows and ballistas, which is what actually I was going to try to get on,
Mm-hmm.
are similar, and the similar weapon penalty is only -20.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the ballista and the crossbow would work in the same category. You know what? Yeah, I think aiming the cannon with your experience would only give you. I think it's going to be a mixed class weapon, so -40 for you. Unless if it does say somewhere, because I didn't. I
Well,
think the cannons are a siege weapon.
it does say that they are both projectiles, but I will be totally fine with that because I always thought it was weird that you can use like a mini crossbow proficiency to shoot a cannon with
Yeah.
very -70. If you would let me use that for the ballista, though, I would still be very grateful.
There are no ballistas in this ship, despite what the image says.
Oh, I thought we cut just those two from ballistas. Dang
No.
it. Okay.
There's only 6 cannons, 3 to each side on
All right.
this. I think it's a caravel is the name of the ship that I'm basing this on.
Okay.
So yeah, basically, what the captain is saying is, we know how to wield the cannon, but we don't have anyone who's as good at attacking as your characters are. So yeah, he's turning to the three of you for strategical help and guidance here. So Luca, it's your turn. What do you do?
All right. I'm gonna at least start helping somebody load up one of these cannons,
You're,
which I know takes like 10 turns.
Okay, yeah. Since they are going to put most men who aren't navigating the ship or attacking the drones on it, you're going to be able to shoot one cannon per turn if you are at the cannons.
Oh yeah. Oh
Uh,
shoot. Okay.
because every person reloading it lowers the reload time by one turn, and
All right.
so yeah, and their presence here is also going to cancel the penalty for you not knowing how it works. They're going to be there to help you out.
Oh sweet. So I get my full stinking attack on this?
Yeah, you're going to get your because of the help that you're getting from the sailors. If I using but only so to answer your questions real quick, Roy. First question: if you only use one, then you don't get the negative, but you can't use one or defend. Defending it with it will be at a penalty this turn and things like this. So you have to let one of them be completely still so that you don't have the, I think it's the -30 penalty yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Guys, we can totally. I don't know if I would know this as a character, and you can totally like say no, you don't. That we can totally hit him at this range with cannons.
yes, you can.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I'm still gonna get the negative because in order to defend with both of them, to have both of them defended, I
Yeah.
need to use both of them at the same time.
Unless if you're using one to defend both, which is also possible,
Ah,
you can uh so what's his name?
Roy.
Roy would be able to do so from a larger distance, but Al would be able to do so with his axe just as well. So
Gotcha.
you don't need to have both of them active and moving around for them to be uh, defending. You just need them close enough that one of them could do the work. So right now, for example, you could simply, since you rolled with the initiative of Roy, you only need to act with Roy.
No, I rolled with the initiative of Al.
Okay.
But next turn I'll be using the initiative of Roy.
Okay.
Because if that's the case, then I can just use Roy to defend against, everything for the ship and them too. Because
Okay.
of his long reach with wires.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if it's in a melee, I can use Al if Roy sticks behind. If it's range, use Roy. Got it. Awesome. I did not know that. Would you by chance mind if I got rid of the -30 then? Because I
Yeah.
didn't know that. But
Yeah.
I'll still take that initiative disadvantage for not knowing.
For this turn, it's fine. So Luca,
Um,
what do you do?
So is this one loaded now?
oh,
You need to use your move action to go downstairs, but they
We gotta
they are
turn the
loading
ship
the
too.
first one. Yeah, and they got to
Okay.
turn the ship too. You can tell the captain to turn it now. It's just that we won't have covered as much of a distance.
Well, he will then say, all right, bring the ship about. Well, hold on a minute. 1,000 feet. That's probably really hard to hit.
yeah.
I have to
You
roll.
yourself.
No, I can do it if it's well. I don't. I feel weird saying that I know all of these measurements, but I can
Yeah.
totally hit him.
Your character is yeah you your character has combat experience, so you have a general knowledge. So it's okay if you, as the player, having the general knowledge of how the rules work, use that as if your character's, it's basically your combat instinct that tells you, oh yeah, with a cannon I could potentially hit this guy.
Okay. Well, then in that case, I'm just going to say, Captain, turn the ship around. I'm going to take a shot, and he's going to go downstairs and get on a cannon.
Okay.
Tell me when I can fire.
You can fire this turn. You just have to do it at a -20 because you had to move.
Nice.
Can I fatigue it? We talked about this before. Can I fatigue a cannon chat?
You can fatigue any attack roll. You,
Become an angry
Yeah.
girl.
I
you
could be really
horrible
mad and shoot a
person.
cannon.
Oh my god, no, don't. You,
Anger
Yes.
cannon
Use
here.
all of your fatigue in
uh,
I
one
can only use
attack.
2 of them.
Oh, you can only use 2. That's right. I can
If
use
you
5.
if you
um,
wouldn't, I don't think I'll fatigue it, but I would like to be angry. Can I do that?
yes, go
Okay.
ahead, get angry. As long as you don't forget to make the willpower check at the end to not kill every important
Oh
person.
shoot! I actually needed to do that last time because I got below 4/4 of my HP, and I did not. I will remember this time.
I forgot as well, but yeah, let's try to remember it this time.
Oh, I missed. Not quite far enough.
Oh, so all right. I gave myself a bonus and I rolled pretty well. So here's what happens: you shoot the first cannon, and it's your first time shooting like a cannon from this place. You haven't been trained to do it, and you overshoot it. And the thing that's going to happen is the technocrit um stops the ball in midair as it's about to reach him, and it simply hovers there, and then it's going to look at it, and next turn it's going to shoot it back at you.
All right.
Wonderful.
Did
Um,
it spend a? No, never mind. Go ahead.
uh, I spent some psychic projection points to be able to
Okay.
defend correctly.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even know its defense score. I was just like, oh man, is this one stronger?
No, I just spent three psychic points to give myself a bonus. That's all.
Okay.
It's the same as the others you face. It's just that like it's being at a larger distance, it does what it does best, which is shoot people and kill them from a distance.
Yeah.
Al, it's your turn. What do you do?
I'm gonna get in a position where I can cover the ship,
Okay.
basically. And is there a way to like use an action to gain more block?
Yeah, you can do two things. You can take a defensive maneuver, which gives you a minus 30 to any attack, but you get a +10 to your defense. Or you can take uh, you can be on the defensive. You can choose to make yourself on the defensive, and then you have a +30 to all of your defense rolls. But in exchange, you cannot take any active actions. Unfortunately, that also technically stops you from taking actions to protect the ship. Um,
Really? What the fuck?
yeah,
Okay,
because technically it's an active action to protect the ship, but I would still allow it. So
Okay.
basically, if what that would mean if you put yourself on the defensive is that you're doing nothing other than defending the ship
Yep,
and yourself.
that's my goal. Because
Okay.
that's the only way I can be useful right now.
All right. So,
To be honest.
okay. So we're going to do the so you better use what's his name? Roy's initiative and hope that you roll higher than the technocrits next turn.
Oh shoot!
Uh,
I need to use a
for
cannon
what reason?
initiative.
Oh, yes, right.
Also, I have a question for Al. Where do you put yourself in the ship that defending with your wires won't cut down most of the ropes and possibly even the masts that are useful for navigating the ship around? Completely at the front?
No. More so like over here-ish, where I'm
Okay.
pinging right now.
Yeah.
Because like right there, I would only risk really that one. And right now we're at the front. We're facing him, but
Yeah.
soon we're gonna be facing him. Actually, no, we're facing him on the side, so I'm able to do this.
Oh yeah, he is on the side now since since you have turned the ship around. Okay. Good. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, yeah, so you're placed there. Okay, I'm gonna move him to be here to symbolize that he's on this side, right here.
Okay.
Okay. Um.
Just on the defensive, so
Okay, so you don't
yeah.
take any active actions. All right. I do believe it's a new initiative. Yeah, everybody roll for initiative.
I believe so as well. I'm taking the negative 100 for cannon initiative.
Okay.
Oh. Right.
Oh yeah, the canon initiative is always great.
Damn. You slightly beat me.
Okay, if
Ooh, and I fumble while having cannon initiative.
ooh.
Well, you can only go down to 0, so
Yeah,
Thankfully.
you're just like really you're just going to be really slow. Roy,
I'm like shell shocked for firing a cannon for the first time.
yeah, like
Oh
your
my
ears
God.
are ringing and everything. So Roy, you are going to be at 3 points lower on the initiative, but I'm still going to allow you to protect against his attacks. It would make more sense,
Thank you.
okay? So,
Thank you.
Gabriella, you are the first to act. You can see, okay, so the sailors that are with you, they're not as good at aiming projectiles and crossbows. In fact, they're missing the drones most of the time. But they, since there's 3 of them attacking each drone, each of the drones is going to get a -75 penalty to defend against your attacks. So you're going to have this bonus going for you to destroy them more easily. So what do you do?
Well, what I'd really like to do is fire a Barrett M82 sniper rifle at the guy out on the water.
That'll
Um,
probably reach him.
roll search to find to find a modern weapon on this.
Don't do that. It's an
arcade
active
ship.
action.
No, I would like to do that, but we didn't discuss whether or not I had one of those. So
Yes.
instead, I'll fire my almost as effective hand crossbow. Now, the one that I heard before that's got its wing clipped, do they seem to be more successful at that, or are they just basically missing it anymore?
Let's see. It only has a -20 to its actions, so it's still able to use its like half of its wings and its legs to just like jump off out of the way of crossbow bolts. But yeah, it seems to be not tiring, but it's being overwhelmed by the number of attacks. So
All right,
yeah.
I'll shoot that one again.
Okay.
To get rid of that one. So that's what I'm going for.
So it has a total of -95 to defend everything included. So it's going to be much easier to.
And I just make my regular attack.
Yes. Okay, you do 150% of your weapon's damage. Your damage is 40, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be damage of 60. You blow it up. The crossbow bolt lodges itself between both of its mechanical eyes, and the pieces just sort of disassemble. They just like disassemble, and you see the psychic crystal that's at the center of each of those beings just falling to the floor. There's a slight crack on it, but it's still emanating psychic energies. It's
Well,
my
these are the
turn.
things we gotta destroy, right?
Last time,
Reform.
yeah, last time, every time that one of the crystals wasn't destroyed, it reformed the drone around it. That is correct.
Can I yell something at him?
Yes.
I'm going to yell, destroy the crystals.
Okay. So
That's a good use of people who can't shoot.
exactly, the crewmen are going to take care of this for you. So they destroy the crystal on this one, and they're going to be destroying the other ones whenever you take down any other drones. So there's now only 2 drones here, and one that is below. In fact, it's observing Lucas's actions. And now I shoot your cannonball back at you.
Oh, yay. This is gonna be fun. Alright, let's do it. Ah!
Hold on a minute. I should have declared this at the beginning of the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be on the offensive.
Okay.
On the offensive. So this will give me a penalty right here.
It will. Yeah, but you don't. You're not the one defending. The ship is.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like specifically. He's like, I'm going to shoot it straight through the cannon opening right at you.
I mean, I will in a couple of turns. Don't worry about that. So I get +10 to my projection based on my potential roll. And I'm going to spend another 3, bringing me to a modifier of 40.
Wait, can you do that after you roll?
It's for the projection that I'm spending them. So right now.
Wait, oh, why are you rolling dodge?
As I indicated there, I have to be right back, so I'm going to roll a defense now in case it's needed while I'm gone.
Cool beans.
Okay.
Alright,
I've
so
already used. Yes, 6. So that would go from 15 to 9. Okay. And Roy.
yeah, 172 block.
Okay, so you are able to completely block this this cannonball. You slice it into different pieces before it's able to reach the ship, and as it's like falling into pieces, it like the air that's going against it just it's not aerodynamic anymore, and it just falls into the water. You know, like it's just splashing. It's just causing all of this shrapnel to enter the water and splash the ship, and the sailors are shouting and look very happy that they weren't hit by this thing. But yeah,
I would assume so.
you've
By the way,
so-
question.
Mhm.
Can the techno critter can't see supernatural, right?
Yes.
So it just sees like these things being like just chopped up and is like, what the fuck is going on?
That is correct. Also, I don't believe you applied your +30 to defend.
I did.
Or oh yeah, okay, you counted it into your total attack.
Wait. Yeah, it's +20, sorry. What the fuck?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is it for your turn as well, because that was an active action, and you can't do any other active actions when you are on the defensive. Luca, it's now your turn. You've miraculously not been put on the defensive this turn.
Yeah, really lucky.
You're brought in front of the next cannon, and the crewmen are telling you, all right, now there's no need to overshoot it this time.
No.
And like you can see that your target he's flying just a bit above the water, and he's moving slightly. It's making your aim harder and everything. But everybody's here to help you, and and you're doing pretty well. So what do you do?
He is going to take another shot. He is on the offensive. He is berserking. He's shouting questions and orders.
Okay.
And here we go.
I like the idea that you're
I can hit
just
anything
shouting.
1,600 feet away.
Nice. What
You're
what were you saying, James?
Oh, I just like the idea that you're just shouting questions. You're just like, all right, man, this cannon.
What does this
it's
do?
sky blue. Just fucking random questions because you're so angry.
What does this do? How long does the fuse stay lit? Why is the fuse stay lit for so long?
What?
No, I don't even think it's questions that pertain to like the battle. You're just asking random questions like, "What are we having tonight? What's for dinner?" Just
I was also picturing you like getting angry. Why does this guy have no hair? It's so hard to determine the wind over there because he has no hair.
Oh my god, you're right.
The light is glinting off of him and getting in my eyes.
You still managed to hit with 90% of the cannon's damage, which I believe to be 125 or 175. Do you need me to check or do you have it?
I have it as 150, right square in the middle.
Yes, but it gets a plus 25 modifier from its strength of 13, bringing it to 175.
Well, now usually the cannonballs are like explosives, so like it's not the impact of the cannon, but the explosion of the cannonball that hits. At least that's how they explain it in the book, not how it is in real life.
Yeah, they are full of powder in this. They're supposed to be full of powder or something, but it does say in the description that the cannon has a strength of 13, giving it a plus 25 modifier to its damage, which I believe was not included in the this, inside of its profile. Let me
Well,
look it
yep.
up real quick. I'm just giving you extra damage if you.
No, I don't mind. That's totally fine.
Cannons do not depend on the strength of the user. Instead, they have their own strength score, 13, for which reason a plus 25 is landed to the base damage of the shells fired. Yep.
Okay,
Yep,
so
you're
yeah,
good.
175.
Cool beans. So 90% of 175?
Yes. Wait, I do
Um,
have armor, so in fact 70% of um,
122.5. So
okay.
122.
Alright, 122 points of damage, and that
Should
is,
be a critical.
I am not dead, but that is definitely a critical.
Boom! 140 critical.
I think I have
Uh,
17 life points left, and oh no, any critical that passes makes me explode with this, because they are hunched, they are being mass produced in Kirdan. So if I
Oh
don't
yeah.
roll 100 here, I'm dead.
oh, wonderful. Yay! Wait.
Um. Okay. Yep. He fully explodes.
Yeah.
He completely yeah, the next cannonball, you can see him making the same movement to try to stop it, but this time your aim is just a bit better. Or maybe you have like another cannon being thrown from being activated from the other side of the ship to be a distraction, and then you hit him with the second cannonball hitting the first one and like projecting into him. Anyways, he explodes.
Yeah.
You've got him, but the combat is far from over. So roll for your initiative
I have no combat DP to spend in what I'm thinking I want my character to be, but now I kind of want him to know how to use a cannon after this.
again.
Uh,
It's not gonna come up as often as you think.
no, but I need to take one with me or something.
Yeah, yeah. In
That's
fact,
it.
I'd say you're pretty prepared for this combat a bit more than Roy is because you have some points in the swim skill. You know,
Yeah.
always
Roy
useful
is
to have.
just the defensive boy.
Yeah, you're just like, if this ship sinks, I'm dead. I have to defend the ship.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so are there any drones that I can see though? Up
Yes,
top?
yes, there are 2 droids up top.
Awesome.
I'm gonna use the technocrats as a representation of my own initiative. And oh, you're back.
I just got back. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the technocrat has been fully destroyed by the second cannonball. I'm impressed that it was this that it got taken care of this fast, but with a very lucky shot, Luca took care of it.
Yeah.
And let's see. Roll, you have an initiative of 126. And can you roll for initiative as well, Luca?
Luca did. He is a Energetic 11.
Okay, is that going to be okay, yeah, that's going to be your usual what's it called? Yeah, so yeah, so you're still going to be on the on the cannons for this turn as well, because there's no more the technocrat is gone.
You are right. There are no technocrats. Oh, can I add my usual initiative to that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Uh,
that will be plus 85, so I should be at 96.
Indeed. Okay. That does not change the turn order. Gabriella, you're the first to act just a little bit before the drones. There are still 2 drones around you and 1 below.
Okay. Assuming that both battles appear to be going equally well or bad, I'm going to just shoot whichever one is the furthest away.
Furthest away? Okay. Go ahead and shoot. I am still being overrun by sailors, giving me a minus 75 with this.
Nice. Nice hit.
Okay.
Ooh.
You do 200 and
70.
170. I do believe I have some armor that I've not taken into account. No, I do not. So you do 170% of 40.
Yes.
7 times 40. 68, that is a critical. Can you can you roll 1d100 plus 68, please?
Nice.
32. Okay. And wow, that is not good. Okay, I have a minus 30 with this one. I think you shoot it in the optics. Okay, you shoot its eye straight in there. Okay. Give me just 1 second. I will be right back. The AC is acting really weird, but it's going to be yeah, it's going to be the technocrat's turn.
The dead technocrat?
Yeah. I think you meant the drones.
Very good.
I think.
The heating system hasn't been on heat ever since I've lived with my wife, so it was surprising.
It needs to get the dust out.
All right, on my initiative, the drones who've been mostly observant now go into attack mode, and one of them is going to attack Roy, and the other one is going to attack Gabriella. So each of you make a defense check. The one that's attacking Gabriella has the penalty to attack based on the critical that you just did. So that's going to be minus 30. And the one attacking Roy is going to be no penalty. So
79 was on me, correct?
79 was on L, and the second one without the penalty was on you. Both of you blocked or dodged. Both of you get out of the way of the drones with a certain amount of ease. You're doing pretty well.
I just spin around the mast as it's chasing me.
Okay. Yeah, you've got your cover going for you, which would even have given you an extra bonus. I just forgot you mentioned you were in cover, but yeah, it would have allowed you to defend even better.
Well, the cover I was hoping would be against like them exploding or something, you know.
Yeah. The drones themselves haven't shown to explode just yet, but that's a very good idea. I'll write it down somewhere.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Always glad to offer ways to kill us.
Yeah, it's especially when it's accidental. That's when it's the best. Luca.
Luca.
As for you, Luca.
Roy.
Yeah, I'm here. Oh.
Yes. As for you, there's one of the drones that is below decks that is acting differently. It's not attacking, it's just hovering there. And there's psychic energies that are coming out of it that are much stronger than the ones that most drones emit most of the time. And you can see that the psychic energies start to create this sort of wormhole, this sort of portal that's opening up a tear in reality, and through which you see another technocrat entering the ship from the inside. And there's a bunch of water coming with him as if he was underwater, and the portal closes behind him, and he turns around to to see the terrified crew, and he is going to attack. Da-da-da. So you are also present, and you also have to defend. But since this is an area attack, you you won't be able to protect other people. Okay, wait a second. Oh, that's the drones. No. I rolled with the potential for because I was on the character sheet for the drones.
Would you take that too, though?
No, I'd rather try to kill you.
Right.
Because I might as well re-roll it so that it calculates it instantly. It's not much better, it's just 151, which gives me an area of attack of 150. That is going to be 30 feet. Okay, and Roy, defend against this, please.
Roy?
Sorry, Luca, defend against this, please. So he is. It's projectile. So you have the projectile modifiers. There's so many modifiers in this game.
I don't get projectile modifiers because I have a shield.
Okay.
That said, I did not declare that I was not going offensive this turn. Should I continue to use my offensive negatives? I didn't even think about it at the beginning of the turn, so I can't really say I plan to not.
Yeah, when you don't say anything, we can consider you're not doing anything. It's usually like, but usually, unfortunately, the rules are such that you have to like declare it at the very beginning of the turn for it to be valid. It's just I don't usually ask this, but maybe I should probably ask this every time that everyone rolls for initiative.
It's fine, like
if you're doing a maneuver. Special maneuver.
It's weird for me too, because like this is a really combat-based game, and in a combat-based game, you want to use these maneuvers more often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. To give you an edge depending on the situation. So
Yep.
You're blocking with shield, and this counts as a fire projectile. So you're at actually minus 30.
When you have a shield, you do not take a penalty for blocking projectiles.
Look.
Okay, I'm looking. Block with shield. Okay.
Minus 30.
I had a feeling there's always something that I missed that I was doing for years and years and years and I missed. Okay, I'll take that. That is 136.
And I believe your armor saves you from the rest of the damage.
Full beans.
But you are on the defensive, sadly.
On the defensive. That's okay.
Yes.
I'm a big stinking defender. I can do it next turn.
All right. So yeah, basically those projectiles are. It's going to be just a swarm of bullets, and it's there's a very short cry from the sailors. Surprised, some of them, but then the technocrat, he materializes a ton of metal pellets, which he propels at incredible speeds, but he doesn't break the sound barrier this time. In fact, it looks like he's trying to be as discreet as possible. He disposed out of like most of the sailors are dead or dying. all of them are unconscious. Some of them shouted, but basically, yeah, this deck of the ship is now completely silent, apart from the buzzing of the drone flying around and whatever noises Luca makes. And then you can see the Technocrat diverts his attention from you, and he's going to materialize. I think it's going to be one of the scarabs that he had before, and he starts to point upwards as if he's trying to aim. And this is where you remember this, and he seems to be pointing in the general direction of where you've heard um,
Really quickly,
Alphonse's
how many actions
footsteps.
are you doing?
But I'm not going to be attacking this turn. I'm only saying he seems to be preparing to attack in the direction where um, Al is. But yeah, he's not going to be doing that this turn just yet.
Awesome.
Which
Put him
means
on the defensive.
yeah,
So,
Luca is
I
on the
have a
defense.
question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So since if I do an area attack, I can affect 5 opponents.
Mm-hmm.
My
If those opponents are near enough to each other that such an attack would be possible.
Well, yeah, 78 feet, but yes. What's it called? I was hoping that I could take out the 2 drones potentially and take out their crystals if they go down.
You can't take out the crystals unless if you do another attack. You'd have to be doing 2 area attacks to do that.
Really? Okay. If I may ask, how much of a negative are they at?
Hmm?
How much of a negative are they at?
An additional attack is minus 20, and aim I believe you're trying to do an area attack, so that is going to be
50.
a minus 50 for a total of minus 70 to both attacks.
Yep. Alright. And then they've been attacked a lot. They're gonna get additional attack on them.
Mm-hmm.
And one has a critical on them. So hopefully this should go well.
Yep. Okay, so real quick, drones are going to defend. The first one just has a minus 75, and the second one has been hit with a critical, bringing him to minus 100 on his defense. So, so you only do 20% of your weapons damage on the first go, which is
15 damage.
okay. So they are going to take 15 each. So neither of them are destroyed by your first attack. It's much easier for you when there's hordes and hordes of them, and you can just flail around your strings and hurt a bunch of them. But this time, unfortunately, it does not seem to be sufficient, and their last defense, the second attack is also an area attack, but each of them is getting their defenses cancelled.
Is that damage enough to crit the one that's already been critted?
Oh wow. Okay. So to answer your question, no, that is only 15. I had 32 points left, so it was 1 point away from doing a critical. But thanks for reminding me, Jeff. And the other attack you do, let's see, it's not 60, it's 50% of your weapon's damage, which would for the strings, which would be
Plus that one rolled a what's it called? So that's nice.
yeah,
50%.
yeah.
35 or 37. Sorry, 37.5.
37. And what is 130% of your weapon's damage, please?
More than it has.
Okay, yeah,
I'm sure.
I believe there's only one drone left, and it's the one that is downstairs. Yeah,
Okay.
you've destroyed the two other drones, and their crystals gets destroyed by the sailors.
Nice.
Okay, so Luca, you are on the defensive, but you can still do passive actions. So what?
Such as tell everybody to spread out to the sides of the ship because they're gonna start shooting through the floor. I assume
Yeah,
like I'm more like, am I on one side of the ship or are these guys like dead center of the ship?
Look at your positioning on the map.
Okay.
You're right here.
I'm right here. That's
yeah.
nearly in the middle.
And the Technocrit has teleported here.
Oh, okay. Do I know enough about boats yet to know what side that is and to tell people to go to the other side?
That's the bow. The stern is the rear.
Yeah.
So I want people to go to the stern.
Okay. So you warn everybody, also alerting the Technocrats to the fact that you are still alive.
Oh yes.
Because you in your armor it might have been difficult to see. You did get pushed back and put on the defensive. So yeah, and
initiative.
Initiative.
New initiative. Potentially the last initiative we'll ever need to roll.
Which means that I will be playing with Roy and Al.
Yep.
So none of them left above ground here?
Hmm?
Nope. Above.
There's none left above deck?
That is correct. So Roy, you are at 45 with Al. Luca, you are at 134. And Gabriella is at 149. Okay, Gabriella, as usual, you are the first to act. What do you do upon hearing that there are enemies below deck?
I'm going to yell to the captain who's above deck here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to point to where we were going to and tell him, get to land.
Okay. He's you see him grasping the wheel firmly and turning the ship around as you head straight for the shores. Not the best place to land, but he is telling his sailors that are above ground, prepare the rowboats in case we need to evacuate.
And then I'm going to go dodge down this stairwell here looking for whoever
Okay.
or whatever may be below.
Okay, so you have basically, yeah, you have to move this distance already, and then you have to come down here and move all of this distance. What is your distance per turn? What is your
My movement is 8.
Okay. You might want to write down this information that I'm going to give you. It's the number of feet that you're able to turn to move every turn, so that this way we'll know it for the next times. Movement value 8. You can move 90 feet. It's the maximum. It's your maximum distance per turn.
Okay, full is 90.
Okay, which and everything else is divided amount. So it's going to be either
I
how.
have all mine written down on Luca for 8 if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Running is 70 feet. 1/4 movement is 22 feet. 1/4 movement is the passive movement, of course.
And then, so what's full?
90 feet, just as he said.
And
Oh.
your full movement is if you do nothing else this turn. I believe just running, you'd be able to make it down down to here. What you're going to see basically is the technocrat who's there, who's still aiming upwards, and his small drone that is taking flight and going once again one deck below through this ladder right here.
Gotcha.
So, what
You
Can
can
I
stealth
take
it.
a shot at that?
at the drone, of course.
I'll do the shot. I don't want to come right out. I'll kind of stay, there where I have cover, like just to where I can see that drone.
All right, so you're positioning yourself. You can shoot at -20 because your character does not because you already moved this turn. It was an active action. I don't have any modifiers to. Whew, I'm dodging the hell out of this.
Wait, are they dodging or are using psychic dodge?
The drones are using.
Oh, the drone, yeah.
Yeah, the drone is using normal dodge. The drone gets away, unfortunately. I'm sorry, you rolled pretty well too. It's just that I opened rolled and I made it to the cargo deck, the one that's nearest to all of the water.
Gotcha. Is he even aware of me shooting at him?
What did you shoot? If it's your blowgun, then there's no problem. But if it's your crossbow, it does make a sound going through the air that's a bit more audible.
Oh, okay. No, it was my crossbow.
Okay, yeah, the drone is aware, but the drone don't care. The technocrat seems to have perceived you, but he's still aiming upwards.
Okay.
Luca, it's your initiative. What do you do?
Luca's turn. Luca's gonna charge him with all of his different weapons and his swords and his daggers and his feet.
Okay.
What's the distance between me and him?
The game says 15 feet.
I can do that passively.
Okay.
And I have 3 attacks to make. First attack is my
Oh
shield.
my god. So
Oh,
many
yeah.
attacks.
Hiya! Not so good. On the technocrat, that looks like he's going to be shooting through the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Should I roll all of them, or you want to go one by one?
Yeah, let's do one by one so that I can apply the proper. It's this is going to be so perfect.
He uses a shield, though.
Yeah, he does. So first attack, I'm able to defend perfectly.
Just a hair.
Yeah, just.
Second attack.
Oh, you open rolled.
This is with my tiniest weapon, the dagger.
Okay. You do 130% of your weapon's damage. No, wait.
Yeah.
With my armor, we're going to say 100% of your weapon's damage to simplify things.
Oh, 40 then.
40 damage. All right, he is on the defensive.
He cannot shoot the floor.
Okay, very nice.
Now, you said technocrat just one? I thought, it sounded to me earlier like multiple step through that portal.
No, just one step through that portal.
Okay.
It's very rare for them to have powers other than psychic control. The fact that one of them has teleportation is strange. It's not part of the lore that you know about the machine.
Very interesting.
I mean, it
I'm
is
also
a psychic power.
I'm also going to this is my kick. I'm also going to look at L and say, check the ship for more.
Okay. Yep, because there could be. Let me have just a quick look. Let's see if they have the power of psychic consumption, passive concentration, psychic exhaustion, access to. Okay, no, they are not able to keep using their psychic powers if they have been put on the defensive, which is such a shame.
It is a shame.
No, you're going to defeat all of my enemies just normally. Okay. I don't believe I take additional attack penalties on shields, as far as
I
I
don't believe you do.
remember.
No, I don't believe.
But
So,
I do deal damage to these shields, and the
Sure.
damage is equal to 50 plus my melee, which I'm sorry, I do have to look up real quick. Is martial arts under a key? It is. And my base damage is 20, so a total of 70 damage to his shield, if that will matter later.
okay. Yeah, their shields have usually are maintained at a value of 500, so
Yeah.
all of the damage that you've done to their shields so far hasn't like been able to break them. You've been able to kill them beforehand. But
Yes.
when you go against enemies that are very, very powerful, then breaking their projections is enough to defend against your attacks. Then breaking the shields will be a bit more useful.
Yes.
He also blocked against your first attack, meaning he also took the damage to the shield from that. What was your
Yes.
first attack with?
Well, my first attack was with my short sword, so it was 50 damage, and then the
Mhm.
last attack was with my foot, which is only 20. So
Yes,
when I
sir.
said 70, that was both of them.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So it's the turn of my Technocrit, which is not going to throw his bomb this turn, and then it's Al's turn.
Al gets a turn. Al gets a turn.
Yeah, exactly. I have a question.
Yes.
I can just step on these and just break them, can't I?
Yes.
Oop.
Yep.
Say nothing. Um,
This was the plan.
All right.
Al comes down swinging. Once he
Okay.
finds out where that person is, he's taking a swing.
You
And
don't know
then,
exactly where he is, but you are able to look around once you fall below deck, or
yeah,
look around before you jump in and make an attack this turn.
yep, I'm gonna
and
be able
now,
to.
see,
So.
Mm-hmm.
Al breaking his shield would be too easy.
Alright, so first off, Roy's gonna make his attack at negative 30.
Okay. Wait. How many
Um,
attacks are you doing?
Technically 3 attacks.
Okay. Are you doing them with different weapons every time? Which?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's calculate what the penalties are going to be before
Roy's getting 1, Al's getting 2, so that's going to be a negative 40 altogether.
It's I I do believe you get a minus 30 for controlling both of them at once, plus a minus 20 for
Oh, 20,
uh
my apologies. So it's
yes,
minus 50.
minus 50 for each of your attacks. That seems correct to me.
Alright.
And they are normal attacks, correct?
Yes, except for Roy's, which he would actually be unable to see. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm defending against. Okay, I defend. Oh, I can't. So the first attack that we're. No, we're. I know that the penalty changes depending on the size of the weapons. It's just that like this is an extra layer of complication that Corexit brought in, and it's like the breakage. I don't think it's worth it to spend the time to calculating all of these.
Gotcha.
That's yeah. Uh, so if I cannot see it, then you do 90% of the monofilament's damage,
Okay, awesome.
which
So
is
then it would be 65 damage, or 67.5 damage.
Oh, shoot.
that
Please
is
explode.
that is a critical, and I am so sad that I'm just exploding now in the middle of your ship.
I have my armor
Oh,
this time, so I should survive.
can you roll 1d100 plus 67, please, to see if it is a critical or not?
Oh, sorry, that shouldn't be mine. I thought you were just asking anyone to roll 1d100.
It's fine. Neither of you get it. It is not a full critical. And I took 67 damage, which is going to be. I think I have. I'm gonna say I have like 8 life points left. I think it's about
Okay.
right. Um. Okay.
Oh yay!
You do have
Try it this
you
time.
do have extra attacks.
Yeah, I do.
For which I
Oh, but
open
they open roll
roll.
too.
Haha.
Oh, if you roll a 2 though, it's gonna be funny.
Actually, I want him to roll a 4 because you're gonna like deal crazy shield damage too. Nah.
Okay.
Yeah, you do damage to my shield. For
How much?
what does your battle axe do as in terms of
Nine.
base? Hmm?
190.
Okay.
This means that if either of us go before him next, well, never mind. You have to miss your next one too, which either way, I guess, is good.
Yeah, and make your last attack, please. For which I did not open roll. And you do. I do have 2 points of armor, so that means you do.
I think that the lawbringer pierces too.
Oh.
Yeah.
don't-
Pierce is 3 actually.
I don't remember those details from the Prometheum exit.
Well, like it's a +10 weapon.
Oh, yeah, there is that. It does reduce the armor by 2, meaning that you do enough damage to make me explode. So everyone who's within the radius of the explosion is going to have to make another defense check. Might not be the first you've made this turn, or it probably might be actually. Cohesion, and it's
Oh my God.
within 60 feet. So I believe even L is going to be hit by this. But L, you did mention you were in cover, so you have a +40 to your defense. It's all against a it's all against difficulty of 180. So.
Does this count as a fired projectile?
Yes, so you do have a -30 to defend against. So you do have the modifiers of a fired projectile.
Damn. So then my armor just blocks it.
Okay.
All right then. I did take the -30 this time. Sorry.
So okay. You opened rolled twice. All right, yeah, you did.
I got a nat 1.
Good.
And then got a nat 1. Yeah.
And what about L?
So I have a +40, but I also have a -30 because of fired projectiles.
I do believe you're dodging, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So you have a +10.
Altogether.
It's good because like you always specify I take cover, so when things like these happen, you don't have as much of a penalty as everybody else does. You're able
No,
to
I mean
use.
my idea was I was going to be taking cover in the fact that the explosion's emanating from something I can't see, so it can't hit me. Kind of idea.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't shooting him; I was shooting the bug.
All right. Let me just check real quick the projectile modifiers because I need to check if let's see. Yeah, it's -40 target behind cover. That is correct. So that was 140, which means I do 70%. 70% of the damage for cohesion is okay. So unfortunately, L, you're going to take 70 points of damage.
Ooh, she's asleep.
How much life points do you have?
Well, let's talk about my armor first. This is considered what type of damage?
This is piercing damage. And thank you for reminding me.
Impaling?
Impaling, yes.
Okay, I have nothing
wait, no,
against
imp is impact.
Thrust.
It's thrust.
So I have 2 against thrust.
Okay, so you do take only 50 damage.
Only 50. Yeah, that's a
So-
critical,
wait,
by
wait.
the way.
Okay, so roll physical resistance. Against 144. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to roll this high.
You don't open roll on those, right?
No.
You're very lucky, but that is correct. You do not open roll on these.
So that'd be
Oh. Oh. It's a flesh wound. It's fine.
Okay, so yeah, you have a small. You're going to have a small -30 modifier that is going to recover within 6 turns. So yeah, basically, like you're just like you're hurt. You're bleeding slightly. Probably like some shrapnel in your um, arm or something. But the technocrat has fallen. The technocrat is dead. Now there's a bigger problem. The explosion has caused the ship to split in two. Because he exploded inside, uh, uh, which was you knew that they exploded upon death. I had demonstrated that a couple of times, and you didn't move him before killing him. So currently, there's a big rift in the middle of the ship.
I mean, it really didn't do that much damage to the ship, did it?
The
It
ship
does
has 800 left, so
Yeah, it does 180%. It does 180 of I believe 100 um uh damage, but it's also an area effect. So it's not like it's a single projectile that hits it. It's all of the projectiles stored within this technocrit exploding outwards. So if we count the ship as a mass, that does multiply the damage. Which the base damage. So, but yeah, basically it took a pretty strong hit. It's leaking water. You're hearing sailors from below yelling in in fright, confusion, and whatnot. So, what are you going to do now?
Al's fucking booking it. He's a big piece of armor.
Yep. You're making your way back to the top deck.
Now, is it just like water's gushing in, or in my very limited experience, does it look like this is fixable?
It's it looks fixable if you were at shore right now. Or if it's Anima, so you can always, open roll with the rolls necessary to do the repairs. And
Yeah, forward checks, no.
Al can just hold the ship together until we get there.
Just fucking.
Alright. He's gonna go to somebody who knows better. He's gonna call for Captain Florentino.
Captain Florentino is yelling back at you from the top deck saying, what in the seven hells is happening downstairs? What are you doing to my ship? Yeah, below
In
deck.
order to kill the technocritter, it exploded.
Whatever we need to get it to shore. Tell us what to do.
Um,
Hello,
he,
Mr. Florentino.
yeah, he's yelling, I don't think she's gonna make it to shore. Everybody on the rowboats now. And you hear another one of the sailors saying, "We lost two of the rowboats in the explosion. They have too much. They're too damaged to hold water. We can only save so many people." And he sees Al on the top deck, and he says, "I don't think we're going to bring. We're going to be able to bring the entire armor with us. When did you come out of there, big fella?"
Oh boy. In the meantime, Roy's gonna be like, or not Roy. Luca's just gonna be moseying around, like, get anything that you can float on.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna like maybe try to rip a door off its hinges, or get one of these planks that holds the cannons or the rowboats.
Okay.
Any kind of wood you can find.
All right. So you're trying to get something that's going to be able to hold your weight. There are the rowboats upstairs.
But they said there's not going to be enough, and I'm not going to take up one.
Okay. Uh, uh, just to make things clear, Roy, he's talking about the fact that he sees a person that he thinks that you
Okay,
are
that's
a person in an armor. He doesn't know that you're a puppet. That's why
gotcha.
he's telling you, you know.
Oh, he thinks that Owl is the guy.
Yeah, if he thinks that both Al and Roy are people. Because
Gotcha.
they like inquisitors could be weird people. It's normal that Al doesn't talk that much, but he's also like this big guy where the captain probably thinks that inside there's a big guy.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So what do you do? It would take an entire rowboat just to float your armor and just to float Al, and that would mean sacrificing about 20 sailors.
How deep is the ocean that we're at right now?
You don't see the bottom, staring outside, and you're still like about a mile and a half from shore.
Fuck.
Another thing, Luca's going to go to Elle and say, Elle, are you well enough to swim, seeing that she is bloody now?
Never was.
Does Elle know how to swim?
No.
Oh,
Well,
you
I
just open ruled when we ruled to see if we could swim at the beginning of the session. That's all you had going for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you should
But
be
I'm
able to get
waiting.
on one of the boats. You're very light.
I'm waiting for the captain to order either the sailors or us to grab the barrels of tar and patch the holes enough to make it to shore.
Yeah,
Because Gabriella wouldn't have that knowledge, but the captain would.
okay. Like based on the damage that's been done to the lower decks, the tar wouldn't necessarily be enough. I believe. Like I've like I don't know much about stuff like this. I just know that like yeah, there's those like huge holes that the barrels wouldn't be big enough to do it. So Captain Florentino, like you can see he's already had this discussion with one of his sailors who told him like yeah how extensive the damage below deck was.
Okay. No, I'll get in a boat.
Okay. All right. So you are evacuating. You're in a boat. What is Luca doing?
Luca has his flotation device, and he's chucking other things out onto the water,
Like what?
like doors and benches and other things that he thinks can float.
Okay, yeah, you're trying to maximize like stuff that can float so you can grab onto them.
Yeah, so that anyone, like at least people who don't get in a boat, can have something to hold on to.
Okay.
I have a plan.
All right. What's your plan?
DM, how many wires would you say do I have?
One for
Like,
each
if we had
finger
to
is
put
what I'd say you have 10 wires. One for each finger.
Okay. So, at the end of the day, I'm gonna be killing 10 of them, in theory, and a possible 10 more.
10 of
Who?
who?
Of the
Owl needs to,
sailors?
yes.
Oh.
Owl needs a rowboat. Like, there's no fucking way that he's getting off without
Okay.
one.
All right.
But my plan is to help basically create little things that they can ride on and then use my strings to control them and keep them afloat and drag them with us.
Oh, like sort of like make a makeshift raft out of all the junk I'm throwing.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, you're. Are you trying to hold together what Lucas is throwing out, like pieces of?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you mentioned you were going to kill 10 of them, like you were going to kill the sailors and take their place.
I was gonna be like, whoa,
And that's
whoa.
Oh,
what
no,
he
no,
said.
no. So basically, this is the point.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, in order to take a rowboat, Al would need a complete rowboat, which could save 20 sailors.
Yes.
So in essence, I'm killing 20 sailors in a way. But to compensate, I'm trying to save 10 out of the 20,
Okay. Um. All right.
which
Yeah.
is
That's.
They can
Uh.
swim.
Yeah. Like a lot of them can swim or like take the thing together. So here's what I think. Here's what I think. You know you know some amount about repairing stuff. It's just you've never, held together a ship before. I believe this calls for a uh, puppet repair test because this is the closest skill that you have. You're going to be doing it at minus 100 penalty because you're not repairing a puppet. Like you might be putting together all of the pieces of junk in a sort of vaguely humanoid shape and holding them together with your strings, just the way you would hold together.
204.
Okay.
Hot dang.
Yep. All right. So you are able to hold together the pieces that Lucas made much better than like into a much more efficient raft. The meaning that most of the other sailors make it onto their respective boats, and you climb onto. And you're going to climb onto your own rowboat for Al. Um, okay.
Lucas will try to make sure that they have a rope to attach theirs to one of our rowboats, and everybody who and salvage those rows from the
strings
broken
already
boats, maybe.
All right.
The strings already connect them to us.
Okay, I
Um,
didn't know if that would be able to like tug them along with us because it would be attached to your hands.
Yeah, but I think he's like passing them through the pieces of his creation and then extending them far enough to connect either to the robots or just holding tight the structure well enough so that everybody else can push by swimming. So you're slowly starting to make your way off of the ship. The evacuation goes pretty well, and as the falling star finishes falling apart behind you, you all notice something. There is a drone which had been destroyed by the strings in the first turn of this combat, whose crystal everybody forgot that had just landed on the forecastle deck. That has finished reforming, and it is going to shoot straight for the rowboat on which Al is currently. So, Al, can you make a defense at minus 30 to defend your rowboat against this attack, please?
199.
Okay. So
Did you get the negative 30 in there? You did. Cool.
Yeah. So you are able to use your axe as if you were doing a home run and just like shoot it straight out of the sky. But you are not necessarily this lucky with the other one that had um, made its way basically from the bottom of the boat.
I was gonna say we didn't kill the one that we were fighting with the technocrat either.
Exactly, which is able to move around underwater, and it's actually going to pierce your boats from the bottom and try to attack you from an angle where you can predict it. Basically, since they are linked telepathically, it knew where to attack because of the first one attacking. So you're defending at minus 200. because you are surprised and it's technically attacking from beneath you, which is the same as backstabbing. So your defense might be just a 0 this turn. Where did all of my attacks go?
What?
Oh.
Nice.
It's like Beady. Oh my gosh! It's Beady Little Nose peeks through the bottom, and he just smashes it with a hammer.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so you only take 20% of the damage minus
Armor.
your armor. So you're only put on the defensive. Yeah. So Roy, you'll you'll be made aware of my of why those choices were made later down the line if ever. But there is a reason. And
Because
yes.
I do have the thing that gives me stealth. So if they were doing it through that, then
No, it's not. It's not what you think.
okay.
But yeah, there is now a hole in basically like when you got onto the rowboat, like the you basically lowered it to about the maximum level it can be at before it starts to leak from the sides. Now it has a big hole in it. L, you are seeing this from the side. You are much closer to Al than everybody else. What do you do?
I roll over.
Okay.
Oh.
I would never abandon my comrades. Abandons comrade.
Okay.
Now, Now, here's the thing. I wanted to make sure this. We have been led to believe that this is a puppet, correct?
Yes.
Like, we all know it's a big puppet.
Yes.
Okay. In that case,
that's what you've been told by everybody except a High
That weird guy.
Inquisitor Damien Gill.
Also, Roy has never said anything.
Yes.
But Al has talked before, and it's a different voice than Roy.
Yes, that is true, and that is okay. So we're thinking this thing's more alive than not. He's going to say, "Can we take the armor in pieces? I can hold some from where I am."
Roy shakes his head. That can't be done.
All right.
Al's
So, like-
the most important part of me.
Time to a buoy and drag it.
Hmm?
Time to a buoy and drag it.
We used all our buoys to save all those people.
Yep.
All right. There is the sound of splitting wood, and the hole that's in your rowboat suddenly, like combined with your weight, finish splitting the rowboat apart, and you find yourself inside of the water. What is inside of Roy is what is inside of Al is suddenly starting to see the water level inside of Al rise rather quickly. But as you are um, uh, as you're struggling to find a way out of there, you notice something. Hmm? What?
If I wanted out, I know how to get out.
Yes, you do know how to get out. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to do so. But inside of the water, there is something with you. There is a shape of someone swimming towards you. And
Shoot.
yeah,
in a straitjacket?
No, No, it's
Fucking swimming.
That
with
would
a
be
swim
hilarious. You just swim in the dolphin.
no. It seems to be the shape reminds you of a child. What do you do?
I don't fucking trust this. I don't like this at all.
Good.
It's a little merbaby.
I have a question
Yes.
because I think I remember something,
Mhm.
but I just want to make sure before I assume.
Okay.
Elimination of necessities, I believe, makes it so that you can hold your breath longer. I think
A
that's
very long time.
Yeah, I think so, right?
I would need to check this power
I
specifically.
believe that's 1/5, like 5 times as long.
Yeah. Did you ever get it? Elimination of necessities? Because
Oh yeah, that was one of the first things I got.
I thought you had elimination. You had the one for fatigue spending.
Yeah, it's both. It does
Okay.
both.
Do you need to? Wait, I thought there were different powers. Let me just check real quick. You
I have elimination of necessities, and it's 1/10 the food, water, and sleep.
Okay, so you got use of necessary energy. That I remember because it was necessary for you, but I don't remember you getting elimination of necessities.
Yeah.
You only require 1/10 of the food, water, and sleep of a normal person. It says nothing about holding your breath longer.
All right. I was just curious because I thought I remembered something about that, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Okay.
All right. Let's see what this kid is all about.
So, once it gets close enough, it looks like a little girl. You'd say like somewhere around 14 years old, and she seems to be holding her breath. Hmm?
Do I recognize?
No, you've never seen her before, and in fact, with the water, it's very difficult to see. But she reaches where you are at about like at about more than the distance of your axe, and she waves like this. And she starts to swim very slowly towards you. What do you do?
I just watch her, ready to attack if she poses a threat.
Okay. She she reaches out just as you sink to the bottom of the ocean floor, creating a very strong cloud of sand that obscures your vision. So she reaches you, and you're unable to see her, but you do see uh, uh, a blue glow where she was. Something supernatural is happening, and you feel something starting to itch along the sides of your throat. Um, a couple of seconds later, you don't feel the need to breathe anymore. Um, you're simply okay now in the water.
Okay.
What do you do?
I walk to shore, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, you start walking to shore. What does what's his name?
Roy?
What does Roy do? Because you don't have a line of sight with him, but you have keynote, so you're able to. So he's still able to act a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Roy tells the others, I'm going to rest. Allah's fine. Do not worry. Get to land.
Okay.
And he's basically just gonna kind of slump over, and the only thing he's doing is holding the little life raft together and dragging them with.
All right. So you did much better than I expected in this fight because because the Technocrits were looking for an opportunity to destroy the gloves that Roy was using, hence the attack from below deck. And you actually managed to save him the destruction of his artifact completely. So you did wonderful during this fight. I should also specify uh, the little girl is swimming next to you, and now that the dust is settling and it's only behind you when you're dragging your armor to shore, you can see her better, and she does not look human.
Okay, I'm going to pick her up and hold her in my arms, since we'll go faster if I'm just walking.
She
Okay.
is a merbaby.
You all right. You go much faster, and when you do reach the shore, you're a couple hundred meters away from where everybody else is, and you see she was barely holding her spell together, and she is coughing seawater and trying to gasp for air, and you realize she's a supernatural creature known as a dryad. You can roll for occult, and everybody and all of the other inquisitors as well to know more about dryads for when you see her.
Has this taken long enough for my action mods to go away?
Yes, you're completely fine. Besides, the action mods are, I believe, no, they're all action mods. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a difficulty 80 to know a lot of basic facts about them, and 140 if you want to know more advanced stuff.
Damn it, really? I was 7 off.
That happens.
Some facts.
Okay.
Just some facts.
Okay, so they're not Hamadryads. They are. I've got to find them again. Okay, she is a tree spirit. Sometimes trees will, grow a spirit attached to them, which will be able to move on its own and stuff like this. The Inquisition does. Though there have been some saints and inquisitors who've used them for summonings, still consider them supernatural creatures, as they are um, supernatural in nature and aren't tied to the light in any way. She gets up from your arms and turns to you and says, "Hello, my name is Willow. I came to save you because Mr. Inquisitor sent me to fetch you. Are you okay?"
I nod. Thank you for saving me. That was useful.
Did you say you were in service of an inquisitor?
So your characters are arriving on the beach. You've been walking, and you hear this part of the conversation. So Gabriella and Luca are also there, and she says, "No, I only serve my tree, but he's a friend of mine." And
So what are you doing here, and why are you saving me?
My tree is over there, and she points towards a cliff, uh, more along the side of the shore, and she says, "That's also where uh, my friend is staying, and where my friends are staying. But when they saw the ship being attacked, Mr. Inquisitor asked me to see if there was anything I could do." You have the same symbols as him. Are you also Inquisitors?
I nod.
Oh, that's delightful.
2 of my allies, and I point to them, are Inquisitors as well.
Oh, that's great. They'll be happy to meet you. The they're up this way, and she points to the cliff. So what do you do?
I follow.
Okay. The sailors have reached the shore, and they're somewhat they're taking a breath. They're recounting their part of the experience. One of them is like, uh, I was just I was just asleep in my cabin, and it was all so chaotic. Suddenly, we were already sinking, and like some of them are explaining what's happening. Um, are your characters going to just leave them there and go to the cliff, or do you talk to them? What do you do?
I tell the captain
Hmm.
to regroup his men, and we will set out after I figure out what is going on.
Okay, Captain Florentino says, "All right, I'm sorry we won't be able to be as much use now that we don't have our ship, but hopefully we can make more rafts out of the woods around here." And you can see that the Willow was within earshot of this, and you can see she looks she looks very surprised and very sad that someone would suggest something like this, but she doesn't
We
say
won't
anything.
we won't be using the wood out of respect for the druid or the dryad.
Dry it.
Dryad. I
Use
thought
the wood.
we will not
Perhaps
be using the wood.
Willow can direct them to which wood they can use and can't use, making a
Fucking rival
compromise.
wood. You can use that wood because it's my enemy.
I hate that tree.
Uh, I know a couple of trees on the other side of the island have um, that have been dead for a while, but the sand's gotten into them and fossilized them. They're very, very resistant and still very light. Uh, and you wouldn't be hurting any of them. Or there's Hemlock Grove that has way too many trees that are stopping blocking the sunlight and stopping the new ones from growing. We could go there as well. It would be very good for the forest.
That would be good. I'll be able to chop them down.
I I can take you there after this, but we'll have to be careful. There's drones patrolling the island all the time.
Of course.
I tell the Captain Florentino, um, when we fight the drones again, have your men focus on just destroying the crystals as we kill the drones. It'll be easier for them. They can stay safer and out of danger, but still be extremely helpful.
Uh, all right. Yes, that seems that we can handle this. Um, and like yeah, he's going to dispatch those orders to his men. A lot of his men are staring because Willow looks human most of the time, but her hair has some leaves, and her clothing seem to be made completely out of wood materials.
Awesome. Let's follow Willow now.
Okay, you start heading towards the cliff, and um, you all right. You're going to arrive in front of a sort of cave entrance on the side of the cliff. At the top of the cliff, there's just a young willow tree. It's not that big, it's not that old, but it is looking very healthy. Like between its branches, is a cave, and there you find a sort of gigantic metal statue, completely immobile, with just a single slot for an eye in the center, as if it's the statue of an armored cyclops. Um, and uh, and next to it, you see someone you were not expecting to see around here. The High Inquisitor, Grey Rhodes. Uh, he um,
Ooh.
he is he's a teacher, and you have seen him on a few rare occasions, and he taught uh, Cario Adventus, who was the teacher for both Luca and Gabriella. And he's this old man, and he's tending a fire in front of the entrance of the grotto right now.
A fire.
Yes.
Roy and Al give a quick kneel and show respect before standing back up.
All right. He says, "Get up, get up. Oh, I didn't know there were inquisitors on that boat. You, I'm glad I sent Willow to. I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad I sent Willow to help, and even gladder you didn't harm her. Hey, you're Gabriella. You're Carrier's student, correct? And Luca's here too.
Yeah.
Very nice to see you here.
I've never had any history with these two.
I believe you had a different teacher than Cario Adventus as far as backstories go. You
Not
you
100% sure,
Mhm.
but fine with me.
Likewise, we didn't expect to have any allies on the island.
Yes, well, I've been stuck here for a little over a month. There's no but and I thought that help was bound to come eventually. You took your damn time.
Well, the Inquisition has been made aware of this island as well.
Good,
So hopefully there will be more.
good. But we might not have enough time to. We might not have that much time, but this will surely help us. What do you know about the situation?
We
This
know
sucks.
The fallen star.
We know that there have been many individuals known as technocrats coming from this direction. We were sent to acquire a relic from a city far to the west of here, and it was taken from us by the smaller insect-like creatures.
All right.
We believe they were fleeing to here.
We lost it because of that menace.
I understand. That makes sense. I've been doing some scouting, and um, uh, I managed to get a little bit of information from the scientist, from the nobleman who's taken the endeavor of trying to bring the machine back to life. He he currently his plans involve two things. He needs very strong psychic crystal that is linked to telepathy in order to try to awaken the machine, but he also needs something that can control electricity. He needs both of them to work together. And it seems that he acquired the psychic crystal that could help him with telepathic control to awaken the machine. Now all that he needs is someone like me. And you can see he stretches his psychic powers a little bit, and a little bit of electricity blooms into his hands. And he says, "That's why I can't move against. That's why I haven't been able to move against the machine. I might be able to do a lot of damage, but if they ever capture me, it would be a game over for us. The machine would awaken, and then there wouldn't be much left to do to stop it."
I nod.
Maybe we can do something while we're here.
Yes, yeah,
Hi,
certainly hope so.
there is another High Inquisitor that has been hunting me. High Inquisitor Damien.
That's the menace I told you about.
I believe that he has the ability to control electricity as well. I do not
Well,
know who's working with the machines. However, when it did come down to the machines, he stopped trying to kill me and fought against them.
do you know where he is
All of
now?
us.
I'm not sure. He fled after I had to fight my party had to fight the techno critters.
Where did you see if did you have any inkling if he might be heading in this direction or back to the Inquisition or somewhere else? Because if he is caught, well, that means we have a very limited amount of time. He doesn't know that he is that he is one of the keys to awaken the machine. We're going to have to move soon.
Well, if
Hell,
he's foolish enough to return to us, hopefully he'll have backup enough that he won't be captured.
I believe you saw what direction he was going in.
He was crawling east
And
Which
you've
is
just
away-
come, and you've just
which
come
is
from the west.
this way. He was coming this way.
Ah, wonderful.
Right. Well, that is worrisome. But he, from what I know of him, he always tries to find ways of fulfilling his mission without cooperating. So it might take him a bit longer than it did for you to get on this island.
Well, he botched the mission for us by attacking us and causing us to be unable to successfully keep the crystal out of the hands of the machine. So this is all his fault, basically.
Why the hell did he do that?
Because he's a menace.
He's attempting to kill me, sir.
He told us to just leave Roy and walk away. Just leave him there and abandon the companion that the Inquisition told us that we can trust and sent us on this mission. And this guy, with no background, we didn't know who he was, didn't know anything at all about him. We have no reason to believe that he's a High Inquisitor.
That's not
Just
very
tells us to
inquisitive.
walk away. That's preposterous. So I wasn't about to abandon our friend and let some strange supernatural creature destroy a member of the Inquisition. That would be complete failure of my responsibilities to the Inquisition. So we told him he couldn't have them. And then when we tried to stop him from doing that, he attacked us and caused so much damage that we were unable to defend ourselves from the onslaught of the machine, who were able to wrest the crystal away from us and get away with it. So this is all his fault.
Well, you did good, at least saving each other's lives.
You guys see steam coming off of Al. You guys see...
Is it because you're heating yourself next to the fire he made for you?
Nope. It's a different reason.
Okay.
You guys see a shadow in the steam. And if you would you like to show the players Edward?
Oh, are you coming out?
Yep.
Okay. So the breastplate opens, revealing that inside of Al there's something else. It's this little boy who's who seems to be in a sort of piloting room from the inside, using strings to pilot Al from within.
High Inquisitor, my name is Edward Brooks. This is my puppet, Roy Mosley, and my puppet, Al Mosley.
Is he using a different voice, or is he doing kiddish voice?
He has a kiddish voice, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a 10-year-old. I'm just not going to do a 10-year-old because it's going to be fucking atrocious.
That's fine. I was just like, is Roy saying this, or is Edward saying this?
No, it's Edward.
But yeah, that does explain some of his previous roleplay choices, where he was like quoting weird things at weird moments, because he's been playing a kid this entire time.
It's actually he's been quoting the Catholic Bible.
Yeah, but sometimes the timing was a bit weird, but like I found it was made on purpose for the roleplay. Anyways, the High Inquisitor says, "Well, the Inquisition let you join, right?"
I nod. I was found when I was young, and Inquisitor Damien put a curse on me. If I spend, I believe it is roughly about an hour outside of somewhere that is enclosed, then I risk getting sick and dying.
That is unfortunate.
More
And
indications he's a menace.
did he say why he was doing this?
He said that I was not an inquisitor. I did have my powers beforehand, but
that makes sense now. Damien, he is part of. Well, you kids might be too young to know about this, but there are two major factions inside of the Inquisition. There's the radical Inquisition. Most of the Inquisition hasn't sided one way or the other yet, but the Inquisition. But there are the radicals who judge that anything supernatural should always be destroyed and can never be good for humanity. And then there's the knights, the Knights of the Holy Order. That's the people of which I am part of. Each of us serves one of the saints, and since the saints are appointed by the church as saints later in their lives, a lot of them have to spend their lives thinking that they are supernatural creatures and that they will be tracked down. So the knights like us tend to be more aligned with the ideas of our saints, the saints that we have to protect, and to think that some supernatural forces can be good for humanity. Just like Willow has been very good to me right here. I only and Damien is part of the radicals, which would explain why he might see you as a threat since you had your powers before since your powers might be uh, from a different source, at least in his eyes, than God.
I nod. I wished to tell you this so that there was complete transparency. And I apologize to you, Ellen Luca, for lying. But
You never lied. You never lied.
Fair.
And the Inquisition has every right to tell us what we need to know, and all we need to know is that they said that we can trust you, and that's good enough for me.
Very few in the Inquisition actually know about my true form.
When's the little person going to pop out of you and say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so"? Or is this as far as that goes?
The singular cell.
And I give you an angry glare, and then I just wink at you.
I chuckle. Anyways, this group and Damien are among the few that know my true secret. Most believe that Roy is the controller. It is merely just a puppet that I've created to be hyper realistic.
Whoa. Wait, can I just say, okay, so you're using monofilament and puppets, but you're not using the monofilaments. The puppet has the gloves, and the puppet is using monofilament?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Go ahead, sorry.
Originally, this was those were ideas I had for a character a long time ago, and when James told me he wanted to do a character like this, I immediately suggested this idea, and we agreed that it would work very well for this campaign.
The system does make it a little rough because if one of my puppets is put on the defensive, both of my puppets are, but it happens.
It's still really hard to get to the puppeteer, and that's one of the weaknesses of puppeting, is that it's harder to defend yourself.
Yep. By the way, High Inquisitor Rhodes turns to you and asks, so is your I would assume that you've been trained by the puppeteer High Inquisitor, right? High Inquisitor Maria was your teacher, and this is her. She has the puppets.
I know about her a little bit.
Okay, her puppet is made out of the body of a very strong elemental of death, making her Yeah, that's the and she's a puppeteer. We didn't exactly establish who your teacher was, but I thought
Yeah.
she was the most likely candidate.
Gotcha. Fair enough. I nod and I say that she is another one who knows of my secret.
All right.
She was your teacher. Like the moment he was talking about puppeteering and stuff in the Inquisition, I was like, "Do you know about this lady? She's cool."
I didn't know about her, but yeah, she is my teacher.
Yeah. She like the her art with all of the strings everywhere is really cool. I think.
It is really
And
nice. She's one of my favorites.
yeah. So yeah. Uh, so Rhodes says Maria doesn't talk much, so I don't know much about her, but I'm glad to have her student here. We are going up against something pretty bad. All right.
I nod. I get back in my suit.
Your secret's safe with me.
Thank you.
I won't tell anyone.
It's now back to Roy speaking.
Okay.
Also, you guys do recognize the voice. By the way, when Edward did speak, it was whenever Al spoke, it was Edward's voice.
But it sounded deeper because it was coming from inside of this deep.
Oh
suit.
no, it was
Yeah.
it was through the keynote.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's why it was able to sound like a child. Basically, what the idea was I was trying to make it look like a child's spirit was stuck inside of Al. So, and actually, B believed that for a while, which is awesome.
Well, we discussed this and we were on to the fact that Roy was a puppet and it was being controlled by Al, but you just took it one level further than we had gotten.
Fair enough.
So by the way, it means that Edward has 9 points of armor tier protecting him without having to sink a single point into wear armor because it's not close enough to him to be his armor. It's just the armor that Al has. So one of the ways in which anima is not balanced is you can do that, but it's just one of the many ways. So Rhodes says, so tell me a bit about what each of you can do. I'm going to need to assess the forces that we have at play so that we can make a good plan on our next actions.
Well, I can lay on the ground, critically injured, like this.
Willow comes towards you and she says, "You look badly hurt. Would I be permitted to help you?" And like you can see a soft light of magic coming from her hand. But she's a supernatural creature, like all of the ones that you've been taught to kill, and she's not technically under the control of a summoner right now. So, what do you do?
I look at the ranking inquisitor, Gray Rhodes, and say,
Mhm.
"Is it okay?"
She will heal you, but this is not magic coming from God, and you should know this before you accept a gift like that.
Will this weigh against my previous instructions, which were that supernatural creatures are evil and must be destroyed?
She is a supernatural creature, but attacking her, well, I won't let you do this. She's helped me, and you'd only be repeating the mistake that I made 20 years ago. I came to this very hilltop, and I killed her mother. Uh, the Though she did not defend herself, and I was and for some reason I was deeply saddened by this. It's only later when I became the protector of one of the saints of the church that I changed my ways, and when I came back, I was very lucky to find that one of the seeds from the previous willow tree had created her daughter. And I've been protecting her ever since, watching over her every now and then when I come to this island. I don't. She doesn't have an ounce of evil inside of her, but she's just not uh, a creature that we would consider a saint. So what will you do?
You haven't answered my question.
It would go against your previous orders, but
Which is why I asked the question I asked, and I'm
Mhm.
waiting for your answer.
I told you it would go against your orders not to kill
I
her.
told you it would go against my orders. What I asked is, are you, as the ranking inquisitor here, authorizing me to be allowed to make that choice?
He says, I'm authorizing you to make the choice that you think is best in this situation.
I will accept your help, Willow.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, she places her hands on your wounds, and you can see it seems costing to her. She's starting to sweat and her brow furrows, but you heal 30 points of damage.
Oh, thank you.
Whew. All right, that's about all I can. Whew. All right, I need to sit down. And she goes up to her willow tree and lays down against the roots and almost immediately falls asleep. Yeah, we can. You want us to take a small break right now and come back later? Is
Oh
that what you're
no,
thinking?
no, I mean like as in, can I heal my people?
Oh yeah, yeah. You can start using Roy to make some repairs. Did you take any damage this combat?
Not this combat, however, I still have consistent damage over the last few.
Okay. Go ahead and start. Yeah, you can start making some repairs.
So you
So,
see
I
people
mhm.
come out, just start making expert repairs. Oh god, where was that chart again? It's in here, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, it's in the rules. I'll let you look for it.
Awesome.
So, uh,
now that I feel much better, I will tell High Inquisitor Gray Rhodes. My training has been in the speed and stealth and use of poisons to eliminate the things that are living and or organic.
all right.
And
Almost.
I demonstrate the speed I can withdraw my blowgun, and this is the lawgiver I found available to me, which perfectly suited me, and I suspect that God finds his way of guiding us to the thing that will serve us best.
I do believe so as well. You um, did you receive any key training?
No, we were told about it, but there didn't seem to be much of an opportunity at that point in time to get too involved in that. I understand it's very varied, and it seemed like maybe it would be better for us to wait until we had a little more actual practical experience using our abilities before we got into that.
I think we're going to have to. I've been trained in the key in the use of key myself, and some of the powers available could give us a major advantage. I'll see about training you in its ways to
I
give us an edge on the machine.
I nod and I raise my hand. I'm
Yes.
attempting to learn techniques myself. I'm at that. I'm soon to be at that point.
Good. We we'll have to see what's the best tactics. I don't know a lot of techniques that I don't know techniques that I could teach you, but I do know some things that could help a fellow like you. What about you, Luca? What are you good at?
What you see on me are what I'm trained to, and that is all I need.
That means you have no key training either?
None.
Alright. Well, then I'll teach it to you as well. All of
No
you.
need.
Hmm? No, I insist. The machine that we're going up against is a very dangerous opponent, and
Let it be known, High Inquisitor, I don't want to learn any.
What did you
How
say?
you feel about supernatural creatures leads me to believe that your mind has been compromised. And the only reason we are allies in this matter is because the threat is far too great.
Listen, you can't be if you start getting into fights with every High Inquisitor that you come across because you disagree in opinions, you're not going to be able to make it very well in those fights.
Oh, I know. I was hoping that it would be fine if he said, we're not gonna fight. Something much bigger is happening. I'm just not on your side necessarily.
Yeah,
In the end.
Damn.
it's kind of what he said. Like, sort of. He said, like, if you start picking fights, you're not gonna be okay, especially fighting against the machine.
Oh, that was him talking.
Oh, yeah, that was him talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was you. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that was,
Okay.
that was
What did he say?
If you start picking up fights with every High Inquisitor that you come across, you're not going to get very far in your in terms of cooperation. But I understand if you don't want to learn any key. In fact, looking at you, I thought maybe I was thinking of something slightly different for you.
Nemesis.
No, I don't have enough MK to learn basic key, let alone this.
All right.
Nemesis costs so much. Oh my god.
If everyone is okay with it, I suggest that I give you the rest of the experience points that you all need to level up, and then we can have a sort of training session, basically where you learn some stuff with Great Roads, and he tries to teach you some powers that could give you an edge over the machine, and then and we can spend the points for the level up as we roleplay this, and then next session we'll have the final showdown against the machine. Is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good to me.
All right?
So I will say, technically, everybody else will need less EXP to level up than I will.
Yes.
So they should probably get bonus.
Which is
That's
which is why I was going to give them the amounts that you need to level up for everyone, and you won't be getting any experience points at the end of this session in exchange. So
Gotcha.
you currently need 4.
How about we all just say we're all at 550? And
Well, that would make sense because I need to be behind you guys because I lose
Yeah.
experience every session because I'm a giant.
Exactly.
Ah.
He's a Nephilim. What you will be getting is 14. Is everybody gets 64 experience points.
I have no idea how much I was at.
You should have right now. You should have right now, 556 experience.
Okay.
Wait, 559. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's fine. And what's the next level after that?
750. 750.
I can check. Give me 1 second.
Wait, I only have 455 XP on my sheet.
Okay. Give me 1 second to have a look at all of this. I believe the calculation for your experience points might have been might have gone wrong. It could be either because if you left the call before we were done doing experience points at some point, or if a calculation error happened.
Oh no. I just, when you said go to the next level, I just put myself at 550.
Yeah,
So,
the level after that requires 750 life and 50 experience points.
But both Elle and Roy should be, Edward should be at 559, right?
I believe so, yes, because we've done three sessions. So in fact, 562, counting for this session.
Okay, I was wondering if we would count for this
Yeah,
session, because then it'd be 3 shy.
yeah.
And
So
next level was what? 7 something?
750.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. So, as uh, yeah. So he is going to spend the first day teaching you basically the basics of the key. And he seems to have an approach that you haven't seen in a lot of other inquisitors. He talks about it as a supernatural force used by the Inquisition, just the same way that it's used by others. In fact, whenever he's talking about his own powers or the powers of Willow, he he talks about them like there's no difference. He mentions the fact that people who can see the supernatural can't tell the difference between his psychic powers and the psychic powers of the machine. Something you can all confirm. He does seem to have his psychic powers, though they are different in what they do. The matrices don't look that different. So, let's have a look at what everybody's current martial knowledge is. Luca, do you know how much your class gives you in terms of martial knowledge?
10 per level. I'm at a total of 50, and I have 10 spent on Berserk.
Okay, so you currently have 40 available, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I believe you've spent most of yours, Edward.
yeah, for the most part. I have
Okay.
20 to work with, but I already have I have a technique planned.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
shoot.
what?
That technique. Anyways, continue.
Oh yeah, that one. It's good. It's a good one.
All right. And for Gabriella, you belong to a class that gives you 20 martial knowledge for each level. So you currently have 100 given to you by your class, since you've just reached level 5. Which means this is going to start coming to you faster than it does for Luca. But he is going to teach you about the nature of ki, that it's a vital energy coming from within that can be exploited and that can make people stronger exponentially. As for Luca, you seem to have trouble picking up on that, and
Well,
he is. Mhm. Go
if
ahead.
I may say, Luca
Yeah.
was very serious. He does not want to do any training with the teacher.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so he's going to talk with you at some point and suggest something else in exchange. But Gabriella, the more you talk with him about what you're able to do as an assassin, the more he seems to confirm something. He tells you, "I think something that could be very useful for you is key perception. It would allow you to pinpoint an enemy's presence from a distance and even through walls. If you combine this with the ability to extend ki into your weapons, you would be able to attack through walls. You'd be able to attack through barriers and assassinate people in a very efficient way. That would make your role in the team of the assassin much more powerful. Would you
Would
be
it allow
interested?
me to fire through my blowgun?
Through walls? Yes.
I like it.
It won't be able to pierce walls that are too strong, but but extending your key to your weapons will allow you to ignore the resistance of the materials that you're going
Excellent. I
through.
like
Okay.
that idea.
Okay. So, in order to get this, you're going to need presence extrusion and or extension. This for a total of 60 out of your 40 points, and your where is it? Where is it? Key transmission? No. Where is key detection? Oh, it's under key control.
Yep.
Yep.
Key. You want key control, use of key control, and then key detection, which altogether is 90 martial.
Okay, so that is 90 points plus presence extrusion being an extra 20. That would bring you to 110, basically, spent martial knowledge.
Presence extrusion is only 10, not 20.
Yes, but he also needs aura extension to extend it to his weapons.
You're right.
Presence extrusion merely makes your body able to channel your own ki. So, Jeff, would you be okay with spending 10 of your martial knowledge, 10 of your development points in exchange for getting 10 extra martial knowledge and learning those things?
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds like a great path.
All right, so I've selected them on your character sheets
see.
just to show them to you. You have erudition, which basically allows you to tell one source of key from another. You can recognize them as if they had a different scent, but for you they have a different color. You're able to perceive people, any source of key, which is any organic life form that you could use your poisons against, through walls. You can also detect some other things, including, I believe, some undead and some magical powers through that. Yeah. And thanks to presence extrusion, your weapon is you're able to touch energy physically without the need of your lawbreaker. So you could physically touch ghosts, with something that only your blowgun was able to do up until now. And with your aura extension, all of your weapons are capable of damaging energy, and all of your weapons are capable of ignoring the damage resistance of materials. And it also the character sheet automatically calculates this, but it also boosted your damage very slightly. After that, if you want, you'll be able to select other powers that have been unlocked by those that you have currently. But that's the extent of the training that you're going to get from him. Basically, he teaches you, the basics of ki, how to like manifest it outside of your body and into your weapons, and how to detect it in other people. Okay, so that's going to be good for your training. After talking with Edward, he is going to think for a long time, and he says, "I think you're better suited to be the to be a damage dealer from a distance. It's something that I'm able to do." And like he focuses for a second and then projects a bolt of lightning into the fields, like into the sea. And he tells you, you should be able to do this with your strings from a certain distance. So,
How would I do that?
with your strength. So basically you have a nice advantage if you're able to keep your distance and attack your enemies. You're also able to serve as a defender thanks to your powerful armor and a combatant when near other people. But I think something that could definitely benefit you is gaining the ability to use the key to fly. That would make it harder for enemies to reach you. It would allow you to maneuver your armor around much better if you were able to move masses. At least tactically, that's what I would teach you if I. That's what I think teaching you would. That's what I think would benefit you most. But
You
you
could
seem to
fly
have.
all around.
But you seem to have other ideas. But you were talking about developing another power.
I nod. Al is at times too slow and weighs me down. So I plan to be doing a technique that will be assisting me in both speed and offense.
Speed and offense in order to attack people better and to act faster. Yes,
Yes.
it seems to me speed and offense is something you already have with your puppet Roy.
Yes, but I have to use both at the same time a lot of the time.
Do you?
Mhm.
Why?
Because at times defense.
You could just use one to defend both and keep one without acting most of the time. What I'm and hence use the better aspects of each one. At least that's why I believe Maria does only uses one puppet. She knows all of the strengths, all of its strengths and its weaknesses, and just employs it to the maximum of its capacity.
Mm.
But in the end, it's up to you which path you take. So, what shall I teach you?
To charge.
Hmm?
To gather my.
Okay. So you wanna learn that technique?
What?
You
Yes. Key control, and then I'm putting 3 accumulation into power and 3 accumulation into dex.
okay? All right. You're going to be learning this. All right. So basically, like he's going to help you develop that technique, but he's not guiding your learning. He's just yeah, he's not the one who's like making the suggestions of what your technique should be. He's helping you come up with it. Luca, he
Luca.
as the night has fallen and both of your comrades are asleep, and Willow is simply uh, uh, watching over the campsites. All of the sailors have made their way into the cavern in order to be safe there, away from the drone patrols. High Inquisitor Rhodes asks that you walk with him.
All right, High Inquisitor.
Hmm?
He's High Inquisitor, right?
Yes.
I see. He says, "All right, High Inquisitor," and he will go. Fully armored, even though armor does nothing against electricity.
So as you're walking along the cliffside, uh, he talks. He says, "If you consider that key is like daylight, there is another side to it, Nemesis, which I think could be beneficial to you, since armor people who wear armors and who are able to take a lot of damage in a fight usually find that the then this sort of power is very helpful. It allows people it allows inquisitors to cancel supernatural powers around them and helps them fight. But it would take you much longer to develop than the powers I'm teaching the others. We wouldn't be able to use this against the machine. It would be something you'd have to plan for the long term. But this is what I'm suggesting. On the other hand, I've been observing you very closely, and I think you have potential for something else. The I've detected a supernatural presence in your backpack. May I see the thing that you have in there? I believe it's a larva from the machine.
He will nod slowly, and he will reach in and take it out carefully, unsure if it is possibly revived, and give it to him.
All right. You can see he observes it, and then he's going to get a little bit of electricity around his finger, and he's going to electrocute it real quick. And he says, "There, I've turned down the the part of the machine that allows it to emit a tracking signal every now and then. That's probably why you had troubles when you got near Kirdan.
I didn't even think of that.
It's turned off and it's disconnected from the machine. And from what I know about these things, they allow the person that they're attached to use psychic powers. And I've been observing you. I see you have a lot of willpower."
Does he then wait for some kind of response?
Yes.
Luca looks down at this thing and looks up to him, and he says, "If I have shown disinterest in whatever you have to teach me, why would you think it seems more likely that I would desire this thing, the aid of this enemy?"
It's not the worst thing some inquisitors have done in the name of protecting humanity.
Well, I am not some inquisitors.
I know. He places it in your hands, back into your hands. He says, "If one day you change your mind, I can tell you with absolute certainty that it's disconnected from the machine. But if you do put this on and use its powers, you'll have to be careful. Any element of the machine that could connect to it would be able to reprogram it and reprogram you." Basically, what this thing does is that you could get the disadvantage easily possessed in exchange for the easily possessed only by creatures from the machine in exchange for access to a psychic discipline. And
I don't suppose that might also give me a possible class change.
You could also change classes, but basically, if you put it on now, you could have your class change in 3 levels as per the rules because it would bring about a change of mentality. But
Okay.
it takes some time to change classes. Basically, this is also an investment for the future, but it would already allow you to use some psychic powers as soon as you put it on.
Okay. And I am aware that there are some psychic powers that even at basic level would be really crazy useful.
Yes.
But he looks at this thing and he says, "High Inquisitor, the only reason that this piece of devilry remains whole is because we seek to give it to the Inquisition for study, and that is it.
What do you think they'll do with it, boy?
It is not for me to know.
Isn't
If it's
it?
useful, if it's useless, then they can dispose of it.
Isn't it? Aren't you afraid that someday you might bring something back to the Inquisition that's too dangerous for for us. I've
We
brought.
contain the danger. I don't believe such an object exists.
We don't contain it. Um, uh, we use it for ourselves. Your lawbringer, how did you think it was made? It's always the same. The objects that we bring back to the Inquisition are then sent to our forges and made into our lawbringers. Each lawbringer is given some powers through the blood of some supernatural creatures that we've captured and brought back. If you really think the Inquisition is that different from other societies, from other groups, you have to understand this. I use supernatural powers. He starts to create a ball of electricity in his hand, and he says, your eyes, you're able to see the supernatural. Do you see any difference between my powers and that of the machine?
Sir, for all I know, your mind and abilities have been turned by the machine. But that does not mean I don't... well, understand to some degree your point.
What about the strings coming from your friend um, from Roy's hands? They are
All
made
supernatural...
they are
I'm
made
sorry.
they are made out of magic, just like the magic that Willow uses. You wouldn't be able to tell one apart if not for the shape.
I was always of the belief that all supernatural powers, even those supposedly granted by God, were only in use, were evil to use, and that those who used them were martyrs.
Well, the Inquisition couldn't have done the job that it's been doing if not for the powers that uh, that some inquisitors have, including myself. But what about Abel, the Christ himself? He had powers we don't understand. What about some of his apostles uh, who used to be mages before they joined him? What about the apostle that founded the Inquisition, Jared? He he had some key powers like the ones I was trying to teach you, your friends. He displayed them for everyone to see, and that was when our religion was still young and fresh, and we were fighting against supernatural creatures, and we were using their own tools against them. You see, it's not all that different. The way I see the Inquisition, simply put, we guard the peace. We keep supernatural creatures that draw our attention by being too dangerous, too evil, and we take care of those dangers. But we can't possibly take care of every single supernatural creature. Most of them we're not even aware of them because they act discreetly. They act from the other side of the veil, and some are even among us. We can't kill all of them, Luca. I know that it's tempting, especially for kids who've had a background like you or Gabriella. Your teacher, he told me about the things the two of you had to go through, and I understand if what I'm telling you is hard, but I'm not trying to tell you to stop being a guardian of peace. I'm trying to get you to make your peace with those the supernatural creatures that could be our allies, and I'm trying to get you to understand I'm one of those allies, and and we're going to need people like Willow and Emmett to help us in this fight.
All that you have told me Only leads me to wonder if our church is failing.
Why do you think we are failing?
Because I have never seen a supernatural power that I did not feel was deeply evil. Not yours, or Willow's, or Roy's. I know what they can be used for. And were it not for the overwhelming forces against us, I would never allow them to be used in my sight.
I understand.
That
What
we have
what
to
about
rely on.
what about the Supreme Inquisitor himself, Romeo Exit, our leader? I've seen him move a mountain with his mind. Should he be killed as well? Who then will defend us? Defend humanity?
I do not know.
Think upon it. You're still young, you still have much to learn. But remember, in the end, we're still following Christ, and Christ forgave Nathaniel, the mage who sought to kill him, and made him one of his apostles. By the way, if you want to know a bit more about the apostles, you can go to page 252 of the Gaia Beyond Dreams, and there's some stuff that could be read there that's interesting. Most especially on page 253, there's Jared, who was an assassin sent to kill the Messiah, who is the patron saint of the Inquisition, and he represents divine punishment. He's the one that a lot of Inquisitors pray to when they're not praying directly to God.
Spooky. But
Yeah.
gotcha. Will this be stuff like that I can say, oh, the High Inquisitor had a book, or they just talked some more and told them about these guys?
Yeah, it's quite possible that your characters would already know those names because they'd be like in the Bible of that setting.
Yes.
Just like our apostles are in our Bible. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you can know their names already. I can, but it's just like for the players, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to make you do too much homework of reading through all of the lore before the games, which is why I'm introducing some of the lore, like the apostles, as we move on. There's one of them, the last one, that will have to do a little bit more with the way the campaign goes, because he's the ancestor of Ra, who's a very, very important historical figure later down, that has impacts.
Oh yes,
That
I
has
know Mr. Ra.
Yeah. If you know anything about the history of Gaia, it's that Ra was a mysterious asshole.
And he also fought 3 demon lords. Ooh.
Oh yeah, you read that part of the book. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool.
That
Okay.
was very edgy.
All right. So yeah, basically.
Oh God.
What? What's happening?
B. If I was ever to do my plan, it would work in this campaign, whether it be in this one or the other one where I'm solo.
Are you talking about the demons thing?
Yes.
Okay. We'll have to if you have plans, can we discuss them in the other campaign? Because experimenting with the system is more about.
It's just something that I realized because it's stupid and it's very, very difficult.
Okay. Can maybe we can talk about this outside of the game?
Of course, yeah.
All right. Okay.
Anyways, does he speak any more to, or is that like the end of their walk?
I think he says let's just go back now. I'm glad that we at least tolerate each other. That's useful. That's a useful thing for allies to do when preparing for such a big fight. But if you ever change your mind on anything, I can still teach you some things, including how to control the powers that would come out of the larva. Hmm?
That was me saying very good, not Luca.
Okay.
Thank you guys for letting me take up that much time. That was good conversation.
Very good.
The next day, okay, so I need to open the document real quick. Just give me 1 second.
The next day, let me get my hour real quick to fix Al.
Okay.
Hey! Ooh.
The next day, High Inquisitor Grey Roads is going to help you spend your development points in whatever skills you might need learning. Most importantly, he's trying to concentrate on raising your attack and your defense, but there's also a couple of other things that could be useful. Basically, he's going to let you help you spend, like get you to spend your experience points normally, but he's going to do it in an interesting way. Um, he asks Willow to wake Emmett up. So Willow starts to concentrate and she chants this spell, and a bit of electricity comes into her hands, and she projects it towards the rib cage of the Cyclops statue that you saw earlier, and the Cyclops statue starts to move. This is what it looks like.
Oh.
And it has the same mechanical sounds that you've been hearing coming from the drones and the technocrats. And in a very mechanical voice, it turns to all of you and says, "Hello, I am Emmett, Solomon Golem, at and warrior and philosopher. How may I help you today?" Willow just says, "You could train with them. They need to learn a bit more about how to destroy machines." How are your characters going to react to the animation of this creature? Mechanical creature. A lot of the sailors are afraid. Edward, yes?
Edward shrugs it off. Like, he knows that these things are more than possible. He does it in a way. There's multiple ways of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So for you, like the fact that it's a creature animated by supernatural energy doesn't bother you.
Luca.
Yeah.
Luca is like, as he sees it animate, he sort of draws his short sword and just has it like held in front of him, like one hand kind of like just gently holding the blade, but he does not immediately do anything else. He seems very like calm, sort of stood up in a.
Are you ready to train, or are you afraid of me? Don't worry, I am merely a tool created by humans a long time ago. Just like I was created by the Empire of Solomon. Just like the tools you're holding in your hand. I'm a tool. I was constructed as a tool of war. It's just I am a bit more advanced. You have nothing to fear from a tool like me.
We'll see about it.
What about Gabriella?
Rolls over. Still wounded, resting.
You're healed.
I believe you've since you've been resting, you've recuperated 5 life points yesterday and 10 today.
So 15 more back?
Yes.
I'm still wounded. Roll over.
Fair enough. Al's still wounded. I have to slowly heal him.
Luca took no damage on that ship, which is the opposite of what usually happens. By the way, have we technically quote-unquote leveled, or is this before the leveling that we fight this?
Basically, like if you want to put points in attack, defense, or anything fighting related, it's basically going to be the progress that you make fighting against Emmett that you are going to make. You are asked not to damage him too much because he's made out of a technology that is very, very difficult to procure and repair.
Could I... May I study him?
Sure, you can study him and you can raise your science skill out of that if you would like.
Marionette?
Uh, Technically, also yes, because he's a sort of very advanced puppet, but he's not animated by strings in any way.
Ooh, crazy rolls with your marionette.
Wow. Yeah. If you want to raise that skill, you can. He is so
If you
Emmett.
want to what? Oh.
He is what is known as a lost Logias. There was this empire called the Empire of Solomon that existed before even Christianity did in the setting, and that was very, very technologically advanced. It's not exactly known what happened to this empire, other than something called the 7 hours of fire, I believe, or the 9 hours of fire, something along those lines, where the entire empire was eradicated and most of its technology is lost. Currently, a lot of countries in this setting are trying to get their hands on as much technology from the Lost Lodges as possible, because whether they are sentient like Emmet is, or whether they are weapons or other artifacts, because they are very easy to because they when they can be used, they can be very powerful.
Hmm.
And you know that he works with electricity. Yeah, that's about all you know. With your role, like,
Would
and
I
he
be
has
able
like
to repair him?
um you could make the same rolls to repair the marionettes, but you'd be at a minus 100 because you don't understand the technology inside. You'd be able to do structural repairs.
Gotcha. Hmm. I would be able to repair you, although you would be more difficult. You're
Oh,
a entity of Solomon,
that
which
I
is
am. Well, that I was when my empire still exists. And before he can finish his sentence, the glowing red eye just goes blank, and Willow has to repeat her lightning spell to reanimate him.
hmm, I would assume something that would block him from giving information of that nation.
Oh no, it's just that every now and then I run out of power.
Ah, I see.
So I'll now is a good time to spend the development points. Uh, so, so that's for everybody. Let's take care of this now. Remember, you're still limited by the percentages based on your class of the total amounts that you can spend in any field. But for example, for people like for people like Gabriella, you could raise your fighting style by more than 60% because you've spent less than 60% during character creation for level 4. So yeah, does anybody have any questions on what they want to spend points into, what they want to learn, things like this?
Or how many
Every
points we get?
Oh, you get 100 development points every level. I do believe you've already spent 10
10,
for
yeah.
to get some martial knowledge. That's about it.
Also, the 10 does count as coming out of your attack.
Yes.
or your combat
Yes.
style. So that's
I actually thought that the gentleman the High Inquisitor fellow was gonna try to teach me Guardian. I was like, man, I actually really want to learn Guardian, but I don't have the DP.
What do you mean you don't have the DP?
I actually have like everything spent for combat, so I only have 60 to spend, and my attack and defense are actually lower than I was hoping to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
So if I spend even like 30 in attack and defense, that's too much for me to get Guardian.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. So yeah, you're going to focus on boosting your attack and your defense. Are you getting what are you getting for secondary skills?
I'm probably going to get a lot of in notice. Well, not a lot, but some in notice. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
spent one of my natural modifiers in, and then more in either composure or withstand pain.
Okay. I don't ask a lot of withstand pain rolls in my campaigns usually. I just like to warn you.
That's okay. Actually, from what I have been told, withstand pain can actually be used to remove or ignore some critical penalties.
I have seen that being used in a game once. I can have a look if you would like.
I would. I think it makes sense. It does say that half of these penalties are caused by pain, but not capital pain, lowercase pain, and there's another
Mhm.
word involved. So I can totally see it going both ways.
Yeah. Um, if it's inside of the description of the rule and it can be used this way, then sure. I'm just looking for composure, withstand pain. Okay. Yes, you can reduce penalties with a roll. Withstand pain. This ability enables one to put up with physical or psychological pain. The character's willpower gives him the ability to put these things out of his mind and ignore them, even when his body is at its limits. At lower levels, the character can use this ability to take damage without complaints, while at higher levels, he can tolerate terrible tortures without breaking. Withstand pain can be used to reduce penalties to an action to a character that a character normally incurs due to suffering or fatigue. So it's either criticals or even fatigue. To do this, the
Oh
player
man, this is so totally him. Yes, I'm gonna put some more in that.
Okay. To do this, the player must make a withstand pain check according to table 11 and subtract the indicated figure from the penalties. If you roll 80, you reduce your penalties by 10. If you roll 180, you reduce it by 40. It's not huge in terms of reduction, but it still can be useful if you think of using it.
It is rather.
You'll have to remember to use it. It's going to be a passive action. I'm going to say it's
Thank
a
you.
passive action.
I figured it was, but I guess I shouldn't assume. But yeah, so he's gonna have some of that. He's not super crazy, but he's gonna be able to get that basic 10 pretty easy.
Okay.
All right.
so.
Yes.
Why were the robots attacking Al?
They had designated you as a priority target and as an easier to destroy target uh, uh, than the others, and they had noticed because the machine does learn at an incredible rate. They had noticed that when one of you was more efficient when the other one was standing still, and they were trying to and they thought you might be that attacking Al might weaken Roy because they are terrified of Roy's strings, which is why they sent an attack in an attempt to sink your boat and kill and destroy your gloves. We didn't see the attack on the gloves, we just saw that.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Okay. Jeff, how do you want to spend your 90 development points?
So I'm just wondering if there is any kind of weapon or a martial art that he can teach or continue the teaching that I've been learning
Mm-hmm.
all along the way.
Okay. What what do you want out of your martial art?
I'm trying to browse through the page to get to the martial art page.
It's we're not going to use the ones in the core rulebook because they were changed and improved in the
Which
Dominus
means you can
Signet
get them for cheaper, but they do less. At the start, anyways.
at the start. Yes.
Oh, okay. And that is so. One of the things that I was thinking about wanting to learn is a more powerful melee weapon that would still be based on more speed than strength, like a three-sectional staff or something like that. I
Mm-hmm.
know I have to purchase the weapon or the kit that the weapon comes on.
Yeah.
Is
There's
that something he can teach?
that is something he can teach. He can also teach you martial arts, which would cover the staff. Uh,
That's
so
good.
so tell me exactly what weapon you want, and I'll tell you what martial arts go with that weapon.
Yeah, so I was thinking about like the staff and the naginata, like the pole arms, um, as the primary weapon to use.
Okay, so Tai Chi uses the naginata, and uh, okay, and none of the martial arts use the pole arm, but I know there are some that use the staff.
Llama uses a quarterstaff. Llamas are really cool defensive art, but you already have. You're an assassin, so you need the defense.
Yeah, I don't have. The thing is, I don't have the like. I'm not good in a straightforward fight because I don't do a lot of damage. I rely on the idea
Mm,
was that I would be able to do the quick attack, get them on the defensive,
yeah,
or force them to have already defended so that you guys get bonuses when you come in with your powerful attacks to add more to it. Adding a percentage to a damage that does 30 isn't as impressive as adding the same percentage to a weapon that's doing 75 as a base damage. So that was the initial intention. But since it seems like I'm going to need, it's a deficiency that I need to compensate for. So I need to be able to also have a powerful weapon that I can use to fight if that's not the strategy that's going
hmm
to work in the fight. So when
Um,
we do have that, when I am going to need to be able to fight stuff on my own, I need to be able to up how much actual damage that I am doing. So that's why I was looking at a more powerful weapon, and I wanted to go with more speed because I can use this staff also to do acrobatic stuff to evade and avoid and dodge and things like that.
Nice. I think one of the parts of the what's it called of the training that you're getting from Gray Roads is learning how to work as a team. So Luca is like he's teaching you like Luca, you're the tank. You're trying to draw attention to you. Roy, like Edward is able to do a lot of damage against big creatures or against masses of enemies, and Gabriella is able to take down powerful enemies when they're distracted through her assassination. So basically, like he's trying to get you to learn how to position yourselves so that you are on either sides of an enemy, giving it more advantage. One of the things he suggests is you could, Gabriella, you could offer a bigger benefit to your friends if you could do extra attacks. There is a martial art that allows you to do a kicking attack on top of um, the normal attacks for which makes it easier to overwhelm an enemy or destroy their shields.
Luca knows this martial art.
Exactly. So you could teach them to. Gabriella, and learning the martial arts. Which one is it? So that I know which.
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo. You would be able to use staff, bastard sword, braka, marte,
Which is a big old sword.
yeah, pudao, and combat cane with taekwondo normally. So, is that something you'd be interested in, or do you want, because it does give you the staff as well. Jeff?
Yeah, eh, overall, the idea of having the style of Taekwondo doesn't particularly appeal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all named after. A lot of them are named after real life martial arts, which is a bit
Right.
weird because
And I loved sparring with Taekwondo guys because they're so easy to take down and lock their legs. They basically hand you their limbs because they're great for smashing through doors. If I had to go through a door with somebody, I'd love a Taekwondo guy to do his giant. The problem is they telegraph so much because they have to put so much power into their moves. It's very predictable. So.
Mm. Yeah, in this game it would be something similar because it gives you a free extra attack. Um, so it's easier to to defend against.
Yeah, and like you're saying, if you're saying you don't use the martial arts that are in this book, but that there is another book that does have martial arts in.
Yeah, it's the Dominus Exit. It's the one that has all of the key powers, blood lineages, and things like this. It's yeah. Sorry I didn't specify it, but most of the players I play with know this, and I should have remembered that you didn't necessarily know that the ones in the core rulebook are not good anymore.
Yeah, so I can't make my decision until I have a chance to meticulously go over all of them to see what's going to take me down the particular path I want to.
Okay, we can do this during the week for to finish up on your character creation. How about we save the 20 sorry, the 10 development points that it will cost you to get the basic martial arts, and we can spend the rest now at this stage of character creation, and then we can decide which martial art you took later the week when you've read through them. Is that fine?
Are they all 10? Nothing
Yes.
costs more than 10?
The basic level costs 10, and they have 3 different levels, which each cost consecutively more, but the more you get, the more powerful the martial arts benefits come.
But also the more pre-requirements are required. So the second degree is usually going to require might require some levels of attack ability, like you need either 100 or 120. And sometimes some secondary skills requirements. So maybe we need to wait until you've chosen your martial arts to know where we're going. If you need to meet the pre-requirements in another skill. So we can. Okay, I'll let you start having a look through them while I do the rest with the other players. Yeah, what are your okay? James, did you put all of your development
Yeah, I've
points?
been done for a while.
Okay, can you tell us both what your technique is and what you've upgraded with your?
Oh, I'm not able to get my technique yet. That's next level thing.
Aww.
In this case, like High Inquisitor Rhodes he's going to really recommend that you find that like you develop a power now that you're going to be able to use against the machine now instead of later down the line.
Could he maybe do overt teaching? Wait, your power's like 5, isn't it?
My power is 13.
Yeah, he has a very high amount of power.
Ooh, do the overtraining thing.
What is that?
Basically, you are able to learn in advance some things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to learn at the level that you're at. I don't usually use those rules because they are they can be a bit of a pain, but yeah, we can use them since they're in the books. Sometimes there are circumstances that can occur where someone should have the opportunity to master a key technique or ability, but not having sufficient free martial knowledge, he's unable to do so. If the game master considers it appropriate, the character can develop up to a maximum of 50 points over his present martial knowledge to learn a particular ability or technique because you're currently learning with a teacher. In this instance, the individual has not completely mastered the technique or ability, but he can try to make use of it in limited circumstances. Okay. For this reason, every time a character tries to use a technique or an ability learned under these circumstances, he must first make a power check, applying a -1 to his characteristic for each 10 extra martial knowledge that he has used to obtain the ability or technique. So if you, so as long as you spend less than 40 martial knowledge, you would be able to use this technique and use it every time because your dice roll would be a minimum of 14.
How much MK do you need?
I need 80. I have 20.
Oh, okay, so we can't even do that.
Yeah, you'd be pushing it a bit too far. You can also spend some of your some of the points that would go in attack and defense instead in martial knowledge, and I would tend to recommend this because you are sort of having more attack and defense than the other players, and it'd be nice to rebalance the group out so that everybody so that it's easier for me to put put enemies that are easy for everyone, you know.
To be fair, I'm on par with the enemies you've been throwing at us.
I know. That's you have been disposing of those enemies, but they are but I put you against some things that were rather powerful because I knew your character could handle it. It's not necessarily the case for everyone. That's why I'm saying you could put less points into this, let the rest of the group can catch up to you and get your technique instead. But that's up to you.
Yeah, I'll knock back my attack 5 points, so it's at 137. So let me just do that across all my characters.
Yep. That gives you an extra 10 development points.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is how much I need.
Okay, so you'll still have to roll your power characteristic every time, and if you roll a 1, if every time you use your technique, and if you roll a 1, it will be a fail.
Do you use all the key?
Alright, if you fail the check, not only are you unable to execute the technique correctly, but you also lose double the key points which it would have cost him to use successfully. If it was an ability that does not consume key, he instead loses a point of fatigue. The character who has obtained extra martial knowledge using this technique will have to spend obligatorily subsequent 3 points of martial knowledge that he obtains to pay the amount of additional points that he has received. Once the difference has been paid, the character no longer has to make the power check. Is that satisfactory to you, to get your technique this level?
It's a big risk, big reward scenario.
You could also lower your defense by another 5 so that you would never have to make the power check.
Yeah. Because the thing about it is, if it doubles, then that means that I'm paying 122 key points, and I'm passing the fuck out.
Possibly, yes. So that's why I recommend you lower your defense a little bit in order to avoid this.
I'm gonna lower my attack more
Okay.
slightly.
So what does your technique do?
I sent it to you already.
Okay. So dexterity plus 40 to your attack plus 100 initiative
It's
for
plus 40 to all attacks in a turn.
all right, and it lasts 20 rounds once you've cast it. Okay,
Correct.
nice. Most of the key techniques I see people using just boosts their attacks or boosts their defense or boosts their initiative. I like the ones that are more creative and that give you like tactical advantages, which is why I was suggesting the flying one, which can be very useful. But this should be nice. It makes you more of an attack character. What skills did you raise?
I raised leadership because I think
Mm-hmm.
that my character has kind of been going as a leader.
Okay.
And then I used my little the plus your characteristics again in stuff like lock picking,
Mm-hmm.
and I put one into sleight of hand, and then I put my tens into lock picking, sleight of hand, occult, law, history,
I
shit
think
like
that's
that.
5. Okay. Now for Jeff and Sam, remember you have an extra multiplier. You have 2 multipliers each level. That for secondary skills, one for physical and one for mental skills, and you also have 5 skills that you can give a plus 10 to in the special column, I believe.
Oh yes, I have given mine as continuing the trend to athletic climb, actually leadership, notice and search, and occult.
Yeah. You got leadership bonus from your Elon previously. Was that you?
No, that was Miss L.
So all of you are getting leadership
We all have a
bonuses.
little bit of leadership. Yes.
It's good with all of the
Wait,
sailors
I'm
under your command.
curious. Who has the highest leadership?
Oh my
Mine
god.
is only 60.
Mine is 80.
And mine's 0.
Well, you get plus 20. You get plus 10.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah, you
um, you got a plus 10 modifier from your gift from I think it was Israel is her
I
name.
think she got Israel. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
Did I get the first? Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
Did I get the first gift of Mikhail?
Yes, you had the most Elon points. You got the first gift of Mikhail.
That's cool, but he's like the only people around. Well, no, he could do that with the sailors. That would be helpful with the sailors.
Yeah, exactly. You have been sort of the in at least in the role play, I feel the most hopeful character out of all of them because uh, uh, at least that's what I feel based on the role play.
I could say that. He
what?
has he has the whole he can't actually be beaten. That would be a lack of faith.
Mhm. Um, okay. Uh, Luca, what skills did you raise?
I erased attack and defense, notice
Okay.
and search, and then willpower. I give you the 5 that I raised with my plus 10s, and with my
Willpower.
modifiers,
Wait. Willpower?
I think withstand pain is what I meant to say.
Okay. Good.
Um, and then with my modifiers, I improved withstand pain and athletics,
Okay.
athleticism.
All right. Real quick, James, How many turns is it going to cost you to use this technique? Because
It takes me 2 turns of charging.
2 turns of charging, but the cost is 61.
Yes.
The cost does not have to be paid when it is released. All that additional stuff is just the maintenance, which does not have to be accumulated for.
Okay. And you have accumulations of 5 in dexterity and 6 in power?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have full accumulation? The advantage.
No.
Okay. So it's
Oh,
2 turns.
Total accumulation?
Hmm? Total
Total
accumulation.
accumulation? Yeah.
Okay, I thought we had taken it for you in case you started using techniques. So yes, even in combat, you can launch this in 2 turns. I'll have to check on. Wait, are you maintain? Is the technique maintained or
It's auto maintained.
It's greater sustenance,
okay?
which is why it costs so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But but when it's, I've never had anybody sustain a technique before. Ta ta ta. In order to create a sustain technique, you must declare ta ta ta. Okay.
It's
It
basically a thing I have to save until the boss, really.
yeah.
And if there are any miscalculations on the AMP expenditure, that's probably my fault because I was the one calculating.
Okay. With respect to key cost, each one of those effects has an associated cost that must be distributed among the characteristics. As okay. Okay. It does not. It does not say when you should spend the key, and I believe the key would have to be spent to launch the technique.
Yes. Yeah, so like as soon as the technique is used, all of that sustenance MK gets eaten up.
Oh, no. I believe you have to accumulate it.
That doesn't seem right.
It
'Cause
does.
it doesn't actually add.
It adds to the key that needs to be spent for every type.
Well, like, hold on, I'm gonna go look this up.
Okay. Minus sustenance, great. The cost. And the number is the cost of key points. So we added the base, blah blah blah, to sustain it for 20 turns. Yeah. Greatest sustenance. The number. This number is the cost in key points that must be added to the base cost of the effect for it to be sustained for 20 turns, 1 minute. If no value appears, the effect cannot be used in a sustained technique. And sustained techniques are always of second or third level, and they can only cause effects that are of a lower level. A third level technique can only use first and second level effects, and the second level technique can only use first level effects. Yeah, so since you don't have a technique, since this is your first technique, I don't believe you could use a sustained technique as your first technique, and I don't believe you could, and I believe it would cost you 6 or 7 turns before of accumulating before you could use it.
Well,
Can because unconnected techniques.
Oh, good, you have this. Perfect.
I will say, like, the thing that I found was what sort of leads me to believe that yeah, you might have to accumulate for it, but that does seem weird because then why don't you have to accumulate all of the maintenance that you're going to use for something that's just plainly maintained?
Oh, it does take off of your accumulations every turn
Oh,
to maintain
like
something.
you can. Yeah, but like if something is, it costs 3 agility points. You can still accumulate as many agility points as you want for a different technique, correct?
If it costs 3 agility points of free agility key points every turn and your accumulation is 5, then you can only accumulate 2 points on top of maintaining the technique. The sustained techniques, you pay for everything up front, and it's just maintained for a certain amount of time, which means the cost is more expensive at the beginning, but over the long term, it just stays on without you having to spend anything else. So
That
sustained techniques are greater if you're ambushing people and you have time to boost yourself up to accumulate.
So basically, we have to redo the entire.
Yes,
we could bring it down to just a maintained technique, which would reduce the MK cost by 50.
which would be sufficient for you to buy it without having to push yourself, and it could be a technique that gives you a boost for a single turn. That could be very that could still be a very good technique, and then you can make it sustained later. I do allow my players to change their techniques and make them evolve their techniques into other things later down the line to add effects and stuff like this.
Okay.
Sorry to disappoint you. That's why we try to do leveling up together so that we don't get our hopes up and when the rules get misunderstood.
All good. All right. We're gonna have to make all that shit.
All right.
Sometime.
Okay, we can do the rest of this during the week. You're going to be spending a couple of days on this cliffside training together. The sailors are watching you. Some of them even try to do the amazing things that you're able to do, and very few are able to do anything related to key or other than be fascinated. In the all this time, Willow is using some of her magic to sprout fruits from her tree, which wouldn't normally be possible. And they're fruits the likes of which you've never tasted, but the High Inquisitor tells you that there's no need to worry, that they're completely edible. That's no problem. In fact, biting into them, you feel yourselves invigorated, and you return to full life points over these couple of days. Is there anything other than training that your characters would be doing during this time? Preparing for the fights to come in some ways, or something like this, or getting to know some characters?
Luca would definitely like to be scouting on a lot of. He'll probably do. If there's even animals to hunt on this island, he may do something, but he will also be interested in finding out anything about the machine here.
Okay. So this is what High Inquisitor Greyroads can tell you from what he's seen. There was a village here. It's been completely overtaken by the machine. Every inhabitant has been turned into a technocrat. There was a noblewoman, a marquis, who's been trying to awaken the machine for some times and failing to do so. But he found around it the larvae used to make technocrats, and he thinks he's in control of them, but I don't think that he really is. I think that they just have the common goal of trying to make the machine awaken, and the technocrats don't seem to have the knowledge and technology to do it by themselves, or at least that's what they're making him believe. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of drones that fly in squads of 100 and circle the island. They have been slowly taking over the entire island and repurposing it into a sort of factory for drones and larvas. There's about 100 technocrats alive on the island, and some others that are being sent on missions to recruit more of them or to search for things. And they might have a carrier, which is a ship, a flying ship made from the body of a person, implanted with a very special larva that is able to control enormous amounts of um, drones at the same time. Extremely dangerous, but it would be used to keep the mother awake. To guard the mother, sorry. So we have a couple of objectives that we need to try to uh, fulfill. The first one is we need to get the Marquis Augustus, that's his name, to drop his project. Either we kill him or we convince him to turn back. We have to destroy as much of the machine as destroy as much of the drones and technocrats as possible. That's going to be much harder, but if we access the mother, we might be able to deactivate all of them. Mother is the sleeping computer that controls all of them. It's not awake yet, but it's and we're trying to at all costs avoid its awakening. But it's also indestructible. The times that the Inquisition has found them, the best thing we've been able to do is bury it as far down the earth as we could. It's too huge to be transported back to the Dominion, so that's going to be our objectives. And I can't. And the reason I'm preparing you so much is that I can send Emmett with you and Willow, but if I get into a fight and they realize that my powers can help awaken the machine, they will try to capture me at all costs. So it's too great of a risk for me to get involved. Any questions?
No. Good with me.
None.
I don't have any either.
Okay. Most of the island is fields that used to be cultivated. I believe the technocrats don't need substance to survive other than what the machine provides. There are some patches of forest that we can use for cover, and I know the machine is inside of the old quarry next to the sea on the other side of the island from where we are. So that's why there's less machine activity around here. We need to reach this point and use the and find a way to deactivate the components of the machine and convince this noble to stop what he's doing. So any ideas based on this information of what we have?
None specifically.
All right. We can't try charging in. That would be too risky. But we do have some sailors with us. We might be able to either use them to cause a distraction or use their knowledge of the sea to make our way to the quarry through the sea.
If we had a boat to do so.
We have some rowboats, but obviously it wouldn't be able to carry all of us.
Well, not all of us are well armed.
That's true. So, Willow is able to do some magics, but her knowledge of magic is very limited to simple spells. It won't turn the tide of the battle for us. She has practical spells like the ability, like she can give some people the ability to breathe underwater, and she can power Emmett, who's a strong fighter. And we have what you are capable of now.
How strong is Emmett?
We were fighting him for a while.
Yep. So you have an idea of what his skills are. So just give me 1 second.
Alright.
Oh, I completely missed the whole part where we actually fought.
Yeah, we didn't roll anything. We just
Oh, because I was going to shoot him as soon as he turned his back to me and was occupied with the rest of them.
uh-huh.
I was going to assassin attack him from behind because I planned to participate in the fighting, but the whole subterfuge thing. So I made it seem like I wasn't.
Okay. Yeah. That's really nice. Are you trying to destroy him completely, or just
No, like I would try and sneak up behind him and like take my dagger, my stilettos, but instead of stabbing, like use the handle just to pop him on the back of the head. Like this, if you were a person, I would have just stabbed you in the head. You know what I mean? So rather than
Yeah.
trying to actually damage him, just hit him with the weapon so that he knows he got hit. Like just to tap,
Okay,
a coup attack.
That's right. If you want, we can role play how we can make the rules for how the fight happened, or we can do what you just did, where we describe how how we'd have taken care of this fight. How would I think let's do that because we don't need to make all of the rules and spend too much time on this. How would Luca have been handling himself against Emmett?
I mean, it's a big stinking machine, and all he knows is straightforward combat. So he would have just been like, defensively trying to figure out what it could do, spend a few rounds in the defensive, and then try see if he could pierce it with his weapons.
Okay. So you're taking your role of tank to heart. You're drawing his attention and fighting him in a conventional way.
So Luca is also sort of a thinking fighter. Generally, I want to say, except for when he's raging, he's either raging or a thinking fighter. So he doesn't know if he's even able to hurt this thing. He'd look at things like, oh, can I hit it in that big glowing orb? Should I hit it? Will that destroy it? He'd ask the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And how is Edward doing during this fight?
Edward wants to use Al, but Al would probably wreck the fuck out of it. Maybe.
You don't have to fight seriously.
Well, yes, but if he uses his axe at all, so Roy's probably just gonna fight him with wires.
Okay.
Mostly just using the trapping maneuver instead of doing damage.
Okay, so yeah, altogether you're able to, Gabriella is easily able to ambush him, and he has considerable fighting power. But when you're working together, when you're doing like extra attacks and trapping him, and positioning yourselves around him, you are very efficient. And the entire time, the High Inquisitor is giving you like advice. He's saying, "All right, you're going up against this machine that's very well armored. You should use combat maneuvers that bypass armor, like trying to make him fall, trying to trap him, trying to see if you can disarm his weapons, because those don't require." Don't take the armor into consideration. So yeah, you as a team, you're able to overcome this fight. So yeah, you get a general sense of what the Emmet can do. It has a stronger attack and defense than all of you, but after 5 turns of combat, it needs to be repowered by Willow. Um, it's not very good at noticing. It only has like a score of 50, so it's easily um, stealthed by Gabriella. It has some strength and a very, very strong ability to memorize things,
Um,
and mainly
how
punches things.
how many times can she charge it per day?
Um, she's it depends. She can keep him on a sort of low power mode all the time when he's only able to talk and stuff like this. Um, but
In full
she
fighting.
can only charge him in combat 5 times per day at the level she's at.
Fuck. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be that great.
He's one of the assets you have working for you. Um, so you uh, yeah, basically the next game that we do, we're going to have the final fight against the machine. It will be the closing section of this story arc, and then we'll and depending on how well or horribly it goes, we'll see what happens. So far, your characters have always come out better than what I had planned. So it's I think you've been doing really well, and with this level up, you should have more capacities that could help you. Um, I hope. Do we want to talk a little bit of strategy before the end of the 4 hours? Do we want? Should I just give you Elon instead during this time?
Yes, I have to go to sleep for about 40 minutes before I work for the next 9 hours.
Oh boy.
Okay, so we're not gonna keep you waiting
Hmm.
too long. You have Elon with Noah, I believe. Correct?
I don't know. I just get tools if I need them.
Yeah, you have Elon with Noah. Um, So you are responding. So you're basically attracting the attention of the god of competitiveness, and he's also mostly a warrior.
Okay.
Um, so that's Israel. Okay, I'm on the page for Gabriella's powers. Gabriella,
Yeah,
uh,
270.
hmm?
Yeah, 270.
Yes, 270. That is correct. Today, did you protect innocents? Were you let me see. You were trying to help everyone as much as possible with when destroying the drones. Okay. Did you destroy an evil or dark entity? You did destroy the technocrits. That's going to be free. Um, yep. All right. You gained 4 points of Elon this time, so you're
Okay.
at 14. I'll let you. I'm letting you keep track of those numbers. There isn't exactly a spot on the character sheet for it, but you can go and write it in the bio and info. All right.
Lawn with multiple people?
Hmm?
Are you doing a lawn with multiple people?
Yeah, I'm doing Elon with you now. Um, where you
Oh,
comp
no, no, no. I mean like with multiple gods.
No, I only do one per person. Otherwise, it's too long. You haven't been very competitive today. You did overcome a complex challenge when you worked together um, to kill those attackers that were like attacking from a far distance. So that's good. Right.
Actually,
I think that. Go ahead,
I
sorry.
was super competitive.
Hmm?
I learned something that a high inquisitor doesn't really have key technique.
Hmm. It didn't feel like you were. It felt to me like you were just training to train. I didn't feel in your role play like you were saying, I have to be better than everybody else. You see what I mean? We didn't exactly like do much of the role play of the training. I tried to like see if you were doing if you're doing anything during those days that was a bit particular. And yeah, that didn't really come up, I think.
If I may add something, though, I think that if it's or doing a complex thing, overcoming a complex challenge, weaving up all of the boards that Lucas threw into the water as a raft was pretty good.
And you did better better yourself because you did the whole what's it called? Because of the level up, so you win 5 points of Elan. And
Plus, he blocked 2 cannon or big attacks that would have massively destroyed the ship.
indeed,
Yeah.
it's all part of the complex situation that you managed to resolve today. Right. So as far as hope goes, I think you're still doing good because you did help. You did save some people's lives.
Threw a bunch of driftwood down there for them to hold on.
Yep, you're going to win 4 points of Elan with Mikhail.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Anything else we want to go over before the end of this game session? We can do the rest of the character creation during the week.
Hi everyone, and thank you for watching this video. If you want to be a part of this story, we are currently looking for more players and game masters to play new games in this setting and on this channel. If you want to contribute to the project, you can contact me through the links in the description. Finally, if you want to keep up with all of the adventures on this channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button so you can get a notification each time we upload the next episode of this story. And it would be very nice of you to like and share the video to help this channel grow. Have a nice day, everyone.